Welcome to the Clay Edwards Show. More adrenaline.
You know, it's a pretty interesting time to be alive. What's the saying that made the times you live in be interesting? We have accomplished that.
And more testosterone for your morning drive.
But when you know you've got a problem, how about tell people and be honest? What's going on?
Going to war on cancel culture and bringing the spotlight on issues and topics from around the city of Jackson.
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
No one else wants to talk about.
The whole system is corrupt and evil. It's unreal. And they don't care. And everybody knows that. It's just sad.
And fights for the soul of America.
I'm going to need y'all to explain to me what a positive solution is, because you positive solutions only people have been in charge for a while now. And I'm not seeing too many positive solutions.
You never met a mother quite like me.
Strap in, turn up the volume, and get ready, Jackson, for unfiltered, no sugar added talk radio. Broadcasting live from the Generator Power Solutions studio. It's award-winning podcaster Clay Edwards.
What is up, Jackson? Give everybody just a second to get in here. We got Benny Ivey joining us again. How you doing, brother?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
Man, so glad to be alive.
Man, tell me about it. So glad to be alive.
Yeah, I can sit here and complain and fuss and everything else, but at the end of the day, just glad to be alive.
Just glad to be alive. Too blessed to be stressed.
Amen. We're going to have a good time tonight. Nothing too serious. We're going to talk a little business on the front end and then just kind of kick it on the back end here.
That's right.
You know, kind of like how we've done. Kind of go into it with a script and never stick to it, so we might as well just not have a
script out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, if y'all caught me on the Kim Wade show today, thank y'all for listening. Had some people call in, say some nice things, which is a nice change for this platform. Normally it's people mad at me. so I'll take the compliment when I can get it. Let me get this shared real quick. Y'all be sure to hit the share button, man. It's Thanksgiving. Hit that share button for me, man. Be much appreciated. And let's have some fun. If y'all got any questions for Benny about Strong Arms Jackson, nice change for this platform.
My bad.
All good. I'm glad the mic works. Anything else? You got any questions for me? Hit me up. We're almost there. Share my personal profile. Enjoying a cold beverage tonight. one of those weeks.
One of those days, huh?
Yeah, man, it's been nonstop. My day off work is more of a harder work day. Yeah, based on self-inflicted choices and chores.
Right. Man, you preaching to the choir, bro. I promise you, I'm with you.
And,
I don't know. I don't know the last time I had an off day, man.
No, you know, it's like I got up this morning, had a couple cups of coffee, and it's like, man, I've gotten out of the gym the last month and hadn't been going. I was like, I'm starting back at the gym today. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Went to the gym at Byron. Check them out online, thegym@byron.com. And
Perfect opportunity, buddy.
Yeah, you got to. It works better when you just implement it in.
That's right.
You know, instead of bore everybody with it. So I went to the gym, got on the treadmill for an hour. You know, it felt great, man. Amazing how much good thinking you do when you're in that space.
Yeah.
You know, and did that and had to haul butt home. Had to go get a Christmas tree out of my storage building, like a fake Christmas tree. Gonna put it up Friday. So anyway, did that. Had to do show prep, haul butt out to Florida to do the Kim Wade show on WYAB. Then get back here, and that's from 4 to 6. And you walked in the door 10 minutes after I did.
Right.
So here we are.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be late. I think I got here like right at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, man, because my day's been the same, man.
It is, man. I appreciate it. I know your schedule's like mine and then some, so I appreciate you making the time to come hang out with the Save Jackson folks.
Oh, man, it's all good, bro. That's what it's all about, right? Saving Jackson.
That's what, your video, you know, whenever you're over here, man, some of our best engagement, best views, most emails I get from people thanking me for having somebody over, having you over. So it goes a long way. I've sent you some of the screenshots from people on YouTube and stuff saying things, man. So it's always cool. I feel like these are the kind of conversations that people really engage the most in.
Right.
So, real quick, we're here at the USA Pawn Studio. Check USA Pawn out online at usapawn.com. Visit the largest pawn shop in the state of Mississippi right there at the McDowell Road exit. They also have 5 other metro area locations somewhat. Woodrow Wilson, Ellis Avenue, Pearson Road in Pearl, Peace Street in Canton, and Warrington Drive in Vicksburg. They got their 10-10-10 layaway special right now. 10% down, 10% per month, 10 months to pay. And they do that on jewelry and stuff. If you want to put a gun or something like that on layaway, a big screen TV, that is going to be a traditional layaway, 30% down, 90 days to pay. And you can make your payments online at usapawn.com, so you do not have to go back in the store until you pick your item up. And that's really cool.
That is really cool.
Especially in times of COVID, if that's something you're concerned about or whatever, your work schedule just makes it hard to get by and make a weekly or monthly payment.
Man, look here, being able to pay anything online helps me. The only bill that I have that I can't pay online is my garbage bill because I got to go to the courthouse in Brandon.
Yeah.
So it's like $50 every 3 months. It gets up to a couple $100 before I even get by there and pay it.
Yeah, man. Over here in Jackson, they just want buyers in on our water bill.
Right. Yeah. I'm outside the city limits, so we get a garbage bill because we have our own treatment plant.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
When this used to be outside the city limits before Jackson annexed it or Byram gave it to Jackson, however you want to look at it.
Right.
It was still the same way over on Jackson Water. So, so we've never really had to mess with that otherwise. I don't think I've ever lived anywhere that they had to pay the garbage bill separate. But I know in the being in the car business, people will get their car and they'll get it tagged or they'll get it titled at their address and they'll go to get their tag and they hit them with that garbage bill they ain't been paying.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come back and they try to I need to get a change of address. I'm like, I can't do it, dog. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
That's right. Look, so I helped a friend of mine out a while back and co-signed for them a car.
Yeah.
Just help them get on their credit. And I don't do this regularly, so don't nobody come asking. But I did. Just some good friends of mine, and that's the first thing they did was when they went to go get the tag, they had to pay my $200 water bill. I mean, garbage bill. Right. So my bad, man.
Yeah, that's funny because it happens. It happened the other day at work, man. Somebody's came back and was like, "Oh, I need to get the channel." Can't do it.
Right.
Just is what it is.
Right, and some of them, like a delinquent garbage bill, can be high.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Because it ain't like the garbage stops running at your house.
So I wonder how that works because I haven't lived out there. So would it be anybody that lives at that address would have to pay it to get a tag at that address? Or does it have to be the person whose name the address is in?
If I remember correctly, man, I swear I think we paid somebody's garbage bill after we bought our house, man. I swear I think we did.
Just have to get it cleared off the books.
Yeah, I'm almost positive we did.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that just for personal knowledge.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense. It don't make sense, does it?
No. It's like a water bill, man. We fight the water bill over here in Jackson constantly. It's like no matter what, they come at you with crazy stuff. I'm like, well, theoretically, what if I leased my house to somebody else that lived in my house?
Right.
And they went to go get the water switched into their name. Would they be liable for the water bill? No, granted, without the city knowing that we did that, I wouldn't do that. I'm just, you get a $5,000 water bill from the city, and that happened
it's happened
last year.
Yeah,
it happened here last year.
People.
You start thinking about all kind of things to get out from under a $5,000 water bill. And anyway, long story short, we obviously didn't do that. But how would they know? Because obviously the person who is renting the house would not be liable for the last water bill.
Look, I'm a plumber, right? So I've done a few different calls throughout Jackson, and I get out there to turn the water meter off, and there's no water meter.
Yeah.
They got it straight piped. A plumber or somebody that knew what they were doing, bypassed the water meter, and they've been getting water free for no telling how long.
You know, they've been arresting people for that.
They have been arresting people. I didn't tell nobody.
But you know, the thing about that is, okay, look, man, we are the law and order platform,
Right.
but there's things that I understand.
Yeah.
You know, and now I ain't with stealing cable,
Right.
but when the city straddles you with that kind of water bill, mainly because of their screw up.
The infrastructure, man.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the Siemens meter issue and all that, I understand. When your mind goes to, hold on now, this is flight or fight.
Right. I do too, man.
You know?
And it's water. I mean,
it's a necessity.
It's a necessity.
That
You gotta have it.
That's
right.
it's a utility.
And it's like one of the major elements in life, period. You know, water.
Yeah.
So
oxygen, water.
Water, right.
Food. Things you have to have.
Things you have to have, you know what I mean? So no, whenever I went and did those calls and I found that, they just kept it like that. I didn't tell nobody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it don't help. It don't help nothing. You know, you don't get no reward for being the water snitch.
Right, a water snitch.
You know, it's like, look, it's like them asking people to snitch on their neighbors in California for having too many people over, for having more than 6 people over for Thanksgiving.
Right.
California, New York, New Jersey, I don't know if there's some other, hellholes doing it.
There will be people that will report their neighbors for having too many people there. I promise you there will be.
And people will know who those neighbors were.
Right.
Because, you know.
It's just,
I
just don't understand it, man.
No, look. Okay, so, how do I want to say this? Can you imagine? You're sitting there with your family. You got 6, 7 cars out front, just in there doing your thing, or out back doing your thing. And the police, what they're trying to do, this is where I'm going with this. What they're trying to do is, no secret, I'm a conservative. I support law enforcement. They are trying to turn people like me against law enforcement. They figure we're like the last bastion.
Right.
Of being anti-cop. That's not anti-cop. If they turn us against law enforcement, it makes this whole thing they want to do with socialism and all that way easier. And abolishing police and stuff.
I believe there's a whole lot more people that are more central in beliefs than it is hard right or left.
I agree.
I believe there's way bigger, what I call living in the gray.
Well, and those are the people they would love to turn against.
Right.
Law enforcement.
Right. I understand that.
And if you do that, then it becomes very easy to start ushering in other crazy things.
Right.
So I told you I was going to get off into a conspiracy theory, but just thinking about that, man, they would love to turn everybody against cops. Having a group of citizens that supports the police doesn't fit certain narratives.
Right.
And I understand not trusting police and supporting police are two different things.
Well, let me be clear. I support law enforcement.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? I believe that. I work with a lot of people who are straight up abolitionists.
Yeah.
They believe in abolishing and starting over because the police came from slave patrol.
Mm-hmm.
That's where police officers. That's where the police department started way back in the day. And and I understand. By stepping outside of my comfort zone and learning new perspectives, I now understand what they mean. It doesn't mean that I completely believe that way. I'm not an abolitionist. I cannot imagine life without police, right? It would be chaos. It would be the movie The Purge on a daily basis. You know what I mean? But I do believe that there needs to be other alternatives other than just calling the police.
Sure, and backtrack just a little bit to what you said there. I don't think anybody can really imagine life without police. Because
you got some people that really think they can.
Well, they want to imagine life without police, but the reality is, I tell people all the time, the police are in place to protect people who can't protect themselves. Like guys like me, guys like you, guys like that can do what they got to do to handle themselves.
Right.
Police aren't necessarily for us as much as people who are surrounded by crime constantly. The elderly, certain minority groups and stuff that feel threatened and whatever. The police, now what their initial purpose of being founded for is a whole other thing.
Right.
What they do today is, I mean, shoot, man, you got a city like Jackson with 116 murders. I don't think less police is a bad thing, but I also understand what like you guys do with violence interruption, and all of that.
I think there should. So I feel like we're all needed.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is needed. Violence interrupters are needed. We're all needed. We all play a specific role in doing what we're supposed to be doing to help the communities. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm just not on the same page as some of my brothers and sisters, and I call them brothers and sisters because they my people. You know what I mean? We might not see things the same politically, completely, you know, or even ideologically, but that's my people. And
you know me, man. I say it all the time. We don't have to agree to be friends.
right
On politics, especially. I mean, otherwise you limit yourself.
Yeah. Well, you know, but I mean, at the same time, by going out and meeting new people, right, and surrounding myself with different people, not just people that look like me and talk like me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
By going out and surrounding myself with different circles of people, that has helped me to understand a whole lot better those perspectives that I never understood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of them is the police situation, because there is a big disconnect in the black communities with law enforcement. And, you know, we can sit here and talk numbers all day long about this statistic and that statistic, but that shit don't matter. What matters is the disconnect that they feel, whether it's real or not. A lot of people in the communities feel that disconnect with law enforcement, you know. So
I get it. When I did that, when I started that GoFundMe for Cody Hamilton, the officer with for his family over in Richland, man, the blowback I got from my Jackson followers was just like it was partially disgusting. Some of the things that were said, but it opens a window in to what the minority community in Jackson. I can only speak for Jackson because that's where I live. Thinks of law enforcement.
And don't misunderstand me now. Everybody in Jackson don't feel that way about law enforcement.
No, absolutely
you know? I think it's so. You know, I got the strong arms.
Let me rephrase that: a portion of the minority community in Jackson.
Right. So I got the strong arm stuff, and I got my plumbing business too. And just recently, I've started trying not to go to the plumbing calls as much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm training my guys, but this is my company and it's got to be done my way. So I find it hard not to find myself on the job sites with them to make sure everything's done right. But what I'm getting at is, for the past couple years, when I'm up in people's houses doing plumbing jobs, I mean, the name of the housing company that I do most of the work for is Jackson Housing, JXN Housing. So we're all over Jackson. And, you know, I talk to people. You know, I've been networking past couple of years, everybody's house. I mean, I'm talking to them, I'm explaining to them our program, telling them what we're doing, what we're about, and, you know, testing the water, checking temperatures, see what they think about, you know what I mean? And a large majority of people that I've spoken to, you know, they have this new thing coming out. Like, for instance, the city council just passed, I think they just passed it, or they're in the process of passing it. I don't want to be wrong here. One of them things. Where they're going to pay...
The gated community thing?
No, they're going to pay Holmes County and Yazoo City $500,000 to house misdemeanors in Jackson, because they say that their plan is to... They say it's the young people doing all the shooting, so they want to sweep the streets and arrest a bunch of young people for misdemeanors and lock them up in Yazoo and Holmes County.
So, you know, I'm a little torn on that.
You know,
usual, but
so that right there, man. Here's my thing about that.
Can it work as a scared straight philosophy, maybe?
Well, but what they're going to do though is they're going scared straight, right? But on the back end of that, they're going to arrest all these young people, and then they're going to stick them with these fines and all this stuff that they have to pay, and then they're going to end up starting from the back. They're going to end up have to climb themselves out of a hole at 19 and 20 and 21 years old, when just because they're young don't mean they're the ones out there shooting guns. Don't get me wrong. They all got guns on their hips.
Yeah.
Right? Well, not all, 95% of them. No, young people in Jackson. It's the wild, wild west, man.
What do you call it, gun culture?
Gun culture, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, another thing, I know we say we don't get political, but it just, and it, I guess it is political.
It's impossible not
So
to.
I'm not a gun control advocate.
Yeah.
I believe if you take guns away from citizens, they're sitting ducks, because I was a criminal half my life and I never got a gun the right way. And nobody, all my friends, we were all thugs and outlaws, and none of us ever went to the damn Academy of Sports and bought us a pistol and gave them our ID to buy it. You know what I mean? Open carry is a plague for the city of Jackson.
Well, look, I just told you sitting in there before we came in here that I believe there should be a path to redemption for non-violent felons to be able to own a gun and vote.
Right.
I agree with that. And the open carry thing, it sounds great, and I'm with you. I'm as pro-gun everything as I can be. I don't open carry.
No, man. See,
I see an asshole open carry, and I'm like, they look ridiculous.
Right. Well, here's my thing, man. Right. So you paint this,
Generally speaking.
right. You paint this broad stroke across the whole state.
Yeah.
Says you can open carry. So that means anybody can open carry. It doesn't matter if you have. It don't matter, man. So you just go buy a gun. So here's a problem that I didn't know existed. And if maybe this is wrong, if it is, you can tell me. Because again, I believe in guns. I just can't have one. So all these young people in Jackson, right? They don't have to go to Academy Sports and all that. They hit the gun show.
Yeah.
They hit the gun show and buy a gun without even getting checked or anything. And until later. But by then they got the guns.
See, okay.
And if that's really true, that needs to be looked into, man.
It's not. I went to a gun show recently for the first time.
Right.
Now I will say this: I was amazed at how many. Let me just say it. I visioned a gun show as a redneck extravaganza.
Right.
I just did. I just in my mind, gun show, bunch of white rednecks from the
NRA supporting.
Yeah, that was my mental. That's what the vision I had in my mind.
Right.
I got to the gun show at the Coliseum a couple months ago. It was on a Sunday. Walked in. I even made it on the news that day. They ended up interviewing me about the gun show. But it was shit, man. It was 60-40 majority urban black males to 40% what I would say white and other.
Right.
Which is cool. I mean, it's in Jackson. I don't know why I was surprised, but just when I had mentally, the way the national media painted gun shows, it was just a bunch of alt-right people in there buying guns without being checked. So I was pleasantly surprised to see the mixed crowd in there buying guns. I want to try to make sure I say that right, because that is honestly how I felt. And but it did open up that thing. Okay, well maybe gun shows are providing a lot of guns for the streets, but man, you damn near have to do a background check to get into the gun show.
Really?
You have to have you got to have a picture ID.
Right.
You got to do all these other to even get in the thing.
Let me ask you this. So.
Now I didn't buy one. I was there.
So then you probably can't answer that question. I know a couple years ago.
You got to do a background check. That's not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. A couple years ago, the reason I bring Academy up is because me and Christina went to Academy Sports to get her a gun. I was going to live vicariously through my wife because I can't have a gun. You know what I mean?
If anybody can answer that question that's bought a gun at a gun show, answer that question in the comments for us. Go ahead.
Right. So we went to go and buy a gun at Academy Sports, and she gave her ID, did her background check, and we done picked the gun out. It's a nice little, I can't remember, man. I think a little 9mm something, man. And they come back and said, "Man, we can't sell you this weapon." She said, "Why not?" They said, "Because she had a domestic dispute with her mother. At this time, it was 10 years prior."
Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's
right. She had right. So Christine had gotten into an argument with her mother, and her mother was a drinker and she did drugs and stuff. Well, they were screaming at each other. So Christina called the police. Police came, and they was at her mother's house. They arrested Christina.
Oh, yeah.
So she got a domestic dispute, domestic violence or whatever it is on her record.
Yeah.
That keeps her from buying a gun, right? But somebody told me, don't tell her to go to the gun show. She can buy a gun at the gun show. They don't, the background check don't go through right there or something like that.
Yeah, so this is what I thought, and Stephen here, you have to pass a background check unless you already have a concealed carry permit.
See, concealed carry permit, that makes so much more sense than open carry to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because open carry, you just go get a gun, throw it on your hip, and police can't say nothing to you. It's law. If they ask you why you got a gun, that's profiling. But I feel like you should have to get a permit to have a gun.
I think they should be able to profile. You know,
Well,
it's like you can look at folks, and this ain't about race. This is just period. Like I can look at trouble and be like, that guy's probably trouble over there. Damn,
Right.
race be damned. You know, none of that.
Right.
Just like you know from running the streets. When I'm not saying it. Every square fits in the same hole.
Right.
But more times than not, you
More
know.
often than not, but I understand that. But and also here's we got this problem with the gun culture in Jackson. Guns are so plentiful there. Everybody has them, so they scared to fight.
Yeah.
If they get into an argument, they got to be the first one to go for the gun because everybody got them.
Now, you know, I'm glad you brought this up. But this is a interesting layer to the whole why don't they just fight like we used to argument.
Right, they all have guns, man. Every one of them have guns, you know, because it's legal to walk around with guns on your damn side. You know, people should be able to pass background checks, mental health evaluations, get gun permits, not just go get a gun and put it on your hip.
Yeah.
Because that's why nobody's fighting, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, man, I go all day about the Second Amendment and right to bear arms. And when you live, this is where you go down the rabbit hole, when you live in an area like Jackson, it's hard to not want to do, to be strapped. But I'm not worried about the guy whose gun I can see.
Right.
I'm worried, so you go back to the concealed carry, but if you can pass a concealed permit. But I don't think open carry is the problem, and I'm sure it's part of it.
A piece of it.
What do we consider open carry? I think that's the thing. That's another. Like, if I have my gun in my back pocket,
right,
is that open carry, or is that or is it concealed?
I'm not. You'd have to ask somebody on there, brother. I wouldn't know.
This is where it's great. Like I know this is not a paid plug here, but Kim Wade is sponsored by Boondocks Firearms Training Academy out in Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
And they go through all this stuff with you, and they teach all these courses in gun safety, not just gun safety, but gun law stuff.
Right.
You know, like to protect you from yourself.
Right.
And this will be something I may try to get those cats on here sometime and find stuff out, because these are just little things I think are really important. Because look at Lil Wayne, for instance, went to prison in New York.
Right.
For having a gun on a tour bus, and he was not a felon or anything at the time. Now he is.
Right, you just can't have a gun in New York.
Yeah, and now he just got caught with a gun at an airport on a private jet, but you're allowed to travel. As far as I know, on a private plane, you can have a firearm. But anyway, not a felon.
Right.
So now he's in double trouble. He's a felon.
So I didn't
with
even
a
know
felon.
about all that.
I saw it. Didn't even get a weird notification. Just happened to stumble across it on Facebook, and it wasn't some. I do verify stuff I read before I talk about it. But yeah, so Lil Wayne's caught charge.
People kill me when they don't do that, man.
Yeah. I'm not.
It's
Yeah. Just
I see the most ridiculous stuff on my timeline, man, and sometimes I just scroll on by.
Look, man, I talk a lot of crap, and I have fun, and there's things I firmly believe, and I won't back down on. But I also, if you know me, you know when I'm when I'm just doing. I'm being a personality, not a person.
I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, some of it's for goes. I mean, some of it's for show, some of it's for go.
Right.
But at the end of the day, verify what you put on there.
Verify it. I promise you.
If you can't find a better news source than YouTube.
Yeah.
Which I'm saying, well, some channels I get all my stuff from on YouTube, but I do verify the sources.
Right.
Anyhow, but
I think about the people that get their information from memes. It's real, man. The struggle's real out there.
They do, man. It's like, it's all a meme. Like I remember when a meme was supposed to be funny. Like
That's
now it's just a picture of words.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
Like a meme used to be a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. They just Cord saying they set up a online trash pay in Brandon. And apparently,
they did.
So concealed is also, if I have it in my back pocket, that is considered concealed. So
okay.
I guess you legit got to have it over your shoulder or in a holster to be considered open carry.
Got to be open for people to see it.
Interesting. Well,
and and it's also like some of these young people that we see. They try to get the coolest looking guns, and they get these extended clips hanging out of them because it's all about show and about you know what I mean. It's just, man, I just don't. I wish we could.
I can't say anything. It still is.
Well, I'm just talking about.
But absolutely.
If there was a way we could, and I don't. how do you do that though? How do you stop something like that? I remember, and you know, Marilyn Monroe. Let's just say Marilyn Monroe. You know, I don't agree with everything that he says and does politically because I'm not a left wing like that. You know what I mean? But I know him personally, and he's a good dude. So the one thing that I did understand whenever he came out and caught all the hell for banning open carry in the city of Jackson for a little while there, I understood that.
Well, bad timing.
Bad timing. It was bad timing.
Bad timing.
But I understood it. Now, I don't know that I understood it from his perspective. I don't know that but I think that was his perspective.
Yeah, I looked at it as a political, like, my opinion on him, and I'm not going to drag you into this because I know y'all have a different relationship.
I know.
My opinion on him is a lot of that stuff is stunting.
Right.
And it's like, what can I do? It got him a ton of national attention, albeit negative on our side of the fence. But with the people he's catering towards, more of the socialist left-hand side, it was like, oh man, look at this guy fighting a good fight.
Right.
You know, so it served its purpose for him.
Yeah.
You know, because now you got Joe Biden came out this week and said, and this is not hearsay, he said, we're going to do one or two things. You own an assault rifle, an assault gun, which is not even a real thing.
Right.
But we know they mean AR-15s and stuff with, you know, that hold more than, basically anything outside of a pistol.
Right.
You're either going to have to do a government buyback or get registered on the National Firearm Registry list, which I don't even know what kind of nonsense name that is for some stuff. I'll need to look it up. But I'm sure it's nothing good. Or if anything ever happens with your gun, you're responsible for it no matter what. I'm sure that's really what it means. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but see, here's the other thing.
now, I mean, I don't.
You
So
go
if
after
anything
assault
ever
rifles.
happens if anything ever happens with your gun, then you're held responsible for that.
Now, that's just me shooting from the hip. I
Oh, okay. I was going to say
that.
I might not disagree with that.
But knowing what they mean so like, well, if you sell it,
Right.
second, then, again, this is just me guessing, but I can't imagine it meaning anything else.
Right.
I guess I could just Google it, but I imagine if you sell it to Joe Blow down the road,
Right.
and something happens, then you're responsible for what they do. I don't know. I do think secondhand firearm sales, and this is where I will lose some of my conservative followers. I think if I sell my firearm to somebody, you should have to do it. If I got to pass a background check to buy it,
Right. No, I agree with that.
it should go through, and then I want to be alleviated of any liability.
See, and maybe that's the piece I was missing with the gun shows and stuff. Maybe people are buying them legally and then second-handing them around Jackson.
Yeah.
Second-hand selling them around Jackson. I don't know.
But
I'm shooting from the hip too. You know what I mean?
in theory, with that concept, it would be no different than buying a brand new at a gun store
Right.
and then going to sell them to somebody. So they may call it the gun show loophole, but it would be the gun store loophole. You can just buy it and turn around and sell it to whoever you want, and there's no consequence or repercussion on you.
How is that legal though?
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
To me, whenever they say common sense gun laws, that's the only common sense thing I can think of. That if you resell your gun, you have to do it through a gun. You know, guys charge $20, whatever.
Right.
You know, like I
I
bought
agree with that.
I bought a gun online before, and it has to go through a registered dealer here. There's people that do it at their houses. I mean, you can be a gun dealer without having to have a store.
Right.
So you just go through them. They do the background check, all that stuff. They get your gun and give it to you.
Right.
You know, I think I paid $20 for a guy to do it one time.
See, and speaking like common sense gun laws, I'm with that. I believe, just me personally, that the whole open carry thing should be looked at with more common sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess being on the right side of it is being more than right of center. I look at it especially when I hear assault weapons ban.
Right.
I hear you're coming
What's
after.
next?
Yeah, you're coming after conservatives with AR-15s because of this narrative
Right.
that conservatives with AR-15s are the ones out doing mass shootings. When in reality, it's pistols and AR-15s and everything else in the inner cities that are causing way more death than in any random weekend in a town like Chicago. More people are killed in the inner city gang wars than in all the mass shootings in the U.S. over a year.
Yeah.
And the definition of mass shooting is very loose. It's any time more than one person
More
is
than one
shot.
person gets shot. That's right.
You know, I looked at this map one time that one of the magazines did on it, and they defined it as any time more than, like, if somebody walked in here right now and shot me and you just in the leg,
That's
we didn't
a mass
die.
shooting.
That's a mass shooting.
Right.
But you know, like for instance, just the way the media will massage things to fit narratives.
Right.
What happened in the McDonald's in Canton was a mass shooting.
Yeah, but they didn't call it a mass shooting.
It was not called a mass shooting.
Right.
If that had been, and I'm just gonna say it, if that had been white folks in Madison, not Canton, shooting 5 or 6 people at a McDonald's, it would have been called a mass shooting because it fits a political narrative. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent,
Yeah,
but that's just the way
that.
that's the way they paint stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little off track here
Man,
with
it's
all
all good.
this, but
You know, that's why I don't even look, man. So we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be hard right wing. Like, whenever Obama was president, what made me hard right wing was Obamacare, because
charging me $100 extra every month I didn't have insurance.
man, I couldn't get insurance because I didn't have it through a company. I had got 1099, so I had to get it on my own, and I was making $15 an hour, and my tax person wrote off everything they could, so it made it look like I made even less, and they still wanted me to pay astronomical for health insurance, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it, and then they hit me for $2,100.84 at tax time for a penalty because I couldn't afford it 3 times in a row. So that right there, so I was like, so I started, you know.
Yeah.
But then
And that's what really got me too.
that's what got me, man. But then, man, I don't let none. So I'm at a different place in life, Clay. So I don't let none of that stuff bother me. I don't listen to it. I don't care about it. If
Well, I have insurance now.
I have insurance now.
I have insurance now.
And that's what I told Christina. You know, whenever so the main thing that I was when it comes to the presidential election and all that. Whenever Trump was going against Hillary, we was Trump because of Obamacare.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was because of Obamacare. And
More people don't have insurance now because of Obamacare.
It's true.
And for you guys out here who may be listening to this that aren't aware how this works, so this is not like an anti-Obama. For me, it is anti-Obama. But so here's how it works, and I'm going to use like
I'm not anti-Obama.
he's not. I'm speaking for myself here.
Or Trump or any of them.
Yeah, he's apolitical as far as this goes. This is on me here. So let's use Nissan for example, the plant.
Right.
What happens is, with Obamacare, if you work more than X amount of hours, but if you were a full-time employee, they had to provide you insurance. Well, what do you think these companies did? They just did away with all the full-time employees.
Yep.
They hire
part-time.
Yeah, no overtime. So they go through like a staffing agency, you know, and I won't say a staffing agency's name. Y'all know who the hell they are. And they go through a staffing agency and they just hire a third more of the people or twice the amount of people and just split the shifts.
Right. That's right.
You know, then they don't have to pay anybody any insurance
Yeah.
because they're considered temp workers.
That's right.
Now you can be a temp worker for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, but you're just a temp worker. So, you know, there's a part of me that understood why Nissan, because I was working in finance in Canton at the time with the Chevrolet dealership, and most banks, like 95% of them, won't allow you to, you can make $1,000 a week working for a temp staff agency, and you could be there for 5 years. You can't use that income to buy a car, like a new, you know, like through most traditional banks.
Right.
Well, you also don't get insurance. So I understood why Nissan wanted to unionize. Now, I'm not a fan of unions, not in the traditional, you know, Jimmy Hoffa style unions that carry too much weight.
Right. A friend of mine was, her name's Karen Camp, her and Jason. Karen worked at Nissan, and she led that fight for the union stuff.
Yeah.
She teamed up with Danny Glover, of all people.
Yeah, James Ridgely, another guy I know, just opened up a CBD
But
farm.
they didn't win it, though.
No, they didn't. Bernie Sanders came down and everything.
Yeah.
It was so this is where I'm way more in the gray than people give me credit for. This was a time that I was for them being able to get insurance and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because, look, I know that you accept a job, it is what it is, but that doesn't mean it can't be better.
That doesn't mean it can't be better. That's right, man.
You know, I mean, when those jobs got here, they were promised to be. It was like, we're going to pull our pants down and give these people all these tax breaks and all this, that, and the other, and you're guaranteed legit middle class jobs.
Right.
You know, and then they're not. They basically went and when that Obamacare happened, and I'm not saying it's Nissan's fault, but if they can't afford to provide
That's right.
health insurance,
And you know,
them savings have to be passed on to the consumer at some point.
Right. And I'm all for paying some type of flat tax.
Yeah.
To
I would love to be a
help
flat
people
tax.
to help people that can't afford insurance and stuff. Man, I'm all for that, bro.
You know,
if
if
there's
you just get a
something I can
10%
do,
flat tax across the board, no matter how much money you made,
boom.
you know, no more write-offs,
Yeah.
no more none of that.
I'm down for that. To help somebody that can't help themselves.
Billionaires
But-
start paying their cut.
Right.
You know, because that seems to be the big fuss because there's so many billionaires in the world.
Right.
But they start paying their cut, and then just everybody pays 10%. You have to think. I haven't done the math, but a bunch of smart people have, and this seems to be the number they come up with. 10% would be the number.
Right.
You know, I would live with that. If you make $1,000 a week, you pay $100 a week in federal taxes.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I'm down with that, man. But the way Obamacare was structured, nobody. I just don't see how anybody. They say how many millions of people are insured under Obamacare. I don't understand. So the first thing Trump did the very, very first thing he did, and it was so funny because we was Trump because of Obamacare. The very first thing he did was remove the mandate. That was his first executive order.
And it took 2 years for it to come off.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just last year that I want to say it was just last year I'd have to pay that damn, extra money, which I kind of had insurance on and not all, and finally I've had insurance for a good year and a half straight.
Look, that's what I just got through telling Christina whenever the president, the election was going on and stuff. I said, now that I think about it, I have insurance now.
Yeah.
I don't. Whatever happens, happens.
Well, you don't want it to go up.
I don't want it to go up.
I mean,
Well, my insurance, so I don't pay anything for my insurance.
Yeah.
I got insurance through my Strong Arms
Yeah.
program. And we have a kind of high deductible, but we have a debit card to pay for our deductibles and copay, so I don't have to pay anything
That's
for
cool.
my insurance. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So but with saying that though, so I won't feel the Obamacare mandate being pulled back, being brought back to life, and all that stuff. But other people still will. So I still can't get behind the whole Obamacare. You know what I mean?
I don't think it'll come back. So the Supreme Court set a precedent with Donald Trump trying to use executive orders to dismantle Obamacare completely,
Right.
and they basically would not allow some executive orders to work.
Right.
I believe, especially now with a more conservative, a conservative advantage in the Supreme Court, I can't imagine them allowing Joe Biden to re-implement these
You're right.
things with the executive order, because now they've set a precedent
Right.
of saying no, executive orders doesn't mean you can just strip everything.
Right.
So we'll see how all that works out. But punishing people for not wanting insurance, I don't.
Right. That right there. That's what had me. But yeah, I don't think about it anymore, man. And maybe it is because I have health insurance now, But
Yeah.
but then again, I mean, I'm praying and trying to get closer to God. We've had this discussion before,
It's also,
that's why I don't.
the busier you stay with work
Yeah,
goes a long damn way.
it goes a long way.
It's like
Lord have
you're
mercy.
busy, you tend to lose track of things to argue about. You've had a lot coming. You've had a lot happen.
A lot.
What, 8 years?
No, it's been 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10. That's right. I saw you said that on Facebook yesterday.
Yep. Yeah. Matter of fact, this week Tuesday was my 10-year anniversary of getting clean from crystal meth.
That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I got to argue with some people on Facebook that day. I was like, "Shut up, meth head." Being sarcastic. I was like, "How far I have come." I was like, "How far I have come." But it's all in fun, man.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you.
So we got some people here. Our friend Valerie says she's union proud. Now look, Valerie is a member of the Postal NALC. I'm assuming that's under the Postal Service. She's been with them for almost 20 years.
Valerie and Sharon are 100, bro.
Oh, I know.
Man, 100. I love them, man. Look, we've been partnered up with them and started doing a lot more events with them.
Well, I know y'all did
They've
that.
been
Y'all did that
doing-
movie thing in South Jackson a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so Valerie and Sharon and Willie, Sharon's husband, and just the whole clique over there, man. Look here, bro. They've been doing this for a long time, and people just didn't know about it.
I know.
Because they're not the type of people to get out there and say, "Hey, look what I'm doing." You know what I mean? But they hold events in the communities all the time, and it's
They do.
and it's so I feel privileged to have been. We done hooked up with them, and we're able to do these events with them, man. And you can see the love whenever all these kids and all these community members show up to these events, man. It's awesome.
It's opened my eyes to things. So I've been at my job for 2.5 years almost. She's been our mail lady as far as I can tell you, as far as I remember the whole time I've been there.
Right.
Finally, about a month or so ago, 2 months ago, she was walking out, and I was like, just got to talking. I was like, "You ever follow the Save Jackson page?" She's like, "That's you. I recognize you." And then we just got to talking, and I found out she was really big in the community and stuff, and just all the things, and we realized we both knew you, and this, that, and the other, and it's just cool, because we don't, politically we're on different sides of the fence, but, when it comes to Jackson, we're on the same side of the fence.
That's right, man.
Look,
politics don't matter when it comes to helping people and doing what's right for the community.
Well, it's contagious, too, and you get somebody like you or somebody like Valerie sitting there, and you hear what they do, it's like, man, it's contagious.
And that's what that's what it's supposed to be. See, you brought it up last week on one of your conversations about doing stuff for the camera, doing good deeds for the camera.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny that you mentioned that, because that was on a Monday, because I know that because the day before our service at church was about the exact same thing.
When it came up in my Facebook memories that day, because I'd asked the question about 3 or 4 years ago, and I wasn't being spiteful or vengeful or nothing. People do things for different reasons.
Right.
But I'm always curious, like, what are people's opinions on these things?
Right.
Mainly because I'm curious, because, if I don't want to be distasteful. But I do think there's a point where you're you want to inspire,
right?
But you don't want to be bragging,
right? See, I'm with you. See, so I battle with that a lot.
Yeah,
I battle with that a lot because doing our program and doing all the outreach stuff, I've had news articles done on me. I've had all this stuff. So whenever we do events and stuff, we are urged to share it on social media so that we can get people to come to the next one, so that we can get people to volunteer for the next event, so we can get people to jump on board and get to doing what we're doing, But then I catch myself, I post it on Facebook, and I catch myself, how many likes did that get? How many comments did that get? So that makes me question myself.
That's more of a dopamine hit. The likes, there's scientific evidence that we get a hit of dopamine every time we get a like, especially as the more we get on social media and stuff. So you're subconsciously doing that, but you're not really. You don't really.
Right.
You're not going to not do it if you don't.
If
you got 0 likes, you would still do the same thing.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I'm just saying, but I feel like that's how the devil works. The devil tries to use that to get in there, But there's a thin line between doing that, and I've seen people get on social media and deliberately pull a big stunt to do this big elaborate thing for somebody on camera that's obviously just for the camera.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So now that I have the opportunity to say this versus trying to type it,
right.
What I don't like is when, and this makes sound completely selfish, I don't know, but like say me and you jump in the car. We're like, man, we're going to go do this for the gram. We're going to find a homeless dude. We're going to pull up.
Right.
We're going to film this, premeditatedly film this.
Right.
Hey, man, here's this. Smile for the camera.
Right, that's different. That yeah.
Now, I'm sure that dude is grateful.
Right.
And I don't want to discount the good deed, but you're not doing it for the right reasons.
Well, that's where it goes back to Scripture, where it says, it's in, I'm not even going to say where it's in because I'm going to get the Bible verse wrong, so I ain't going to go there. But it says, well, if you do it for, let's just say, if you do it for the Facebook likes, then you got your reward here because you ain't got a reward waiting for you in heaven.
Yeah.
Layman's terms.
No, yeah. And I had to go back and pull that post up. A lot of people did. That scripture was quoted several times, and I saw you and somebody, I can't remember who it was on top of my head, kind of going back and forth. Not in a bad way. It was somebody you grew up with.
That was it was my girlfriend from junior high and high school.
Yeah.
It was her little sister.
Okay. Yeah, I saw y'all going back and forth a little bit. I was like, I just thought it made, because I thought everybody, it was one of our most popular posts. Everybody stayed respectful in it. Like, people had their opinions, and I didn't see people going at it over it. Mm-hmm. It was like, what's the worst that can happen? You do something good, But so at the end of the day, I just, like, if you want to go give a homeless guy $100, just go give the homeless guy $100.
That's right.
maybe tell your story later. I'm not gonna, if you tell me you gave a homeless guy $100, I don't need to see the video to believe you.
Right. Right. I'm with you 100%. You know what I'm saying? Right.
And look, a guy a couple years ago caught a lot of hell around here, and I'm not gonna name his name because I like the guy and I do think his heart was in the right place. It just came across wrong because I think he did it through his business Facebook page and stuff. But I've met the guy and I think his heart was in the right. I'm pretty sure his heart was in the right place. He gave this kid a car and surprised him on Facebook Live and stuff.
Right.
And like he caught more hell from people than he did. Good job, congratulations from people.
Why'd you do this to show?
Yeah, and I really think it caught him off guard. I think in his mind his heart was in the right place.
Right.
And it was at that time that those kind of videos were becoming really popular.
Got to be careful with social media.
It's like, man,
the piranhas will come out.
They do. and I saw that. Is what got me to think. I was like, I don't even know if it really came across tacky to me.
Right.
But so many people said it was tacky. But in my head,
right.
And that really rubbed on those people the wrong way. I mean,
right.
You get to questioning, do I do that? Because you got to be self-aware. I think that's what
self-aware.
It is a great character trait to be self-aware.
Yeah, I would say.
It's just like we were watching a really good show on Netflix. And I know I was supposed to cancel my Netflix subscription over there in discrepancies with child stuff, but there's a show that I've been addicted to for about 4 or 5 years. They came out with a new season. It's called The Crown. It's about the history. It's a reenactment. So it's actually actors about basically from the day Queen Elizabeth, the current Queen Elizabeth became queen.
So Christina tried to get me to watch that last week. I was like, man, that's gay. I'm not watching it.
I know. Look, I'll tell you when I ended up binge watching it was 3 years ago when the ice storm came through around January 1st or 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
I was stuck in the house. I was off work for 3 or 4 days. I'd been to the end of Netflix and back, and I was like, how bad can it be? I was like, how bad can it be? There was 2 seasons on there, dude. I don't think I slept for 2 days.
Really?
Binge watching 24 some odd episodes of The Crown.
Well, I'm gonna have to check it out.
And then it took 2 years for the 3rd season to come out. They skipped a year somehow.
Right.
So it was good. And then like the new season just came out a couple days ago, and they've reached the point in the timeline where Prince Charles meets Diana. And it's getting into more current, 80s time. It's just really good, man. I learned a lot of stuff about the monarchy I wasn't aware of.
You're going to watch all those seasons, and then you're going to be one of those people that every time the royal family comes on, you're going to be in front of the TV.
Yeah. But look, man, I mean, it's like me and Crystal were watching it last night. I got her. Once the season, like she wasn't too into season 3, but once Diana got on there, like I noticed that it's the number 1 show on Netflix.
Right.
Like they're talking.
It is. That's what we were looking at last night.
She transcends. Diana does. People, especially of our age,
want to watch her.
Want to watch her and see stuff about her, and so I think I'm on episode 5 or 6 now. But it's really good. I recommend it if you still have Netflix. If you haven't canceled over the whole cuties thing, which I know I said I was going to, and I guess I just forgot. But
yeah.
Before you cancel, before the end of the month, binge watch The Crown. I told Crystal last night. I said, so when I get done with this, I'm canceling this. Make sure nobody else in the house is in the middle of a series. I was like, and we're going to cancel Netflix, but I recommend The Crown. It's really worth it.
Check it out, then.
I'm a history buff. I fancy myself. I mean, probably couldn't tell you anything, but I love history. So it's really interesting to watch. And Judge Free, I see you, brother. Always great to see you on TV. I see you on see your videos cooking all the time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being a supporter. Danny White, what's up, brother? Y'all be sure. I was gonna save them to the very end, but y'all be sure to visit Father and Son Southern Lawn Care here on Facebook if you need your grass cut in the Tri-County area. And I mean, saying grass cut is probably a disrespect to what Danny and them actually do. I mean, they do real deal manicuring and lawn service and stuff, but it's Father and Son Southern Lawn Care. You can give them a call at 601-301-3210 or check them out on their website, fatherandsonlawnservice.org. And this is a company that gives back. Danny's born and raised in South Jackson, been here for 40 years or so. They do this drive every winter where they knit beanies for homeless.
Right, really?
Like skull caps, and give them away and stuff, raise money and all that. Danny's good people, man.
That's awesome. Bro.
Legit good people. So I like to associate myself with people, that are doing stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, it inspires me.
Right.
I need it every now and then. I get mad and angry, and it's like,
like we all do, bro.
What did Valerie commented here? What did she say? She was talking about. Try to read it before Valerie, I'm gonna read your comment real quick before we venture on here. If y'all got any questions, man, I want to thank y'all for watching tonight. It means a lot. It really does. Going into the holidays here. Chip Matthews, you ready to come over tomorrow night and raise some hell with me? Let's see, I've lost Valerie's comment there, but Valerie, I'll get back to it. So me and Chip got me into the club business.
Oh yeah.
Chip Matthews. Well, my first job from working for Inez and stuff at the door on Bailey Avenue.
And that was so long ago.
It was, man, like 94, 95.
Man, that was a long time ago.
But Chip gave me my first chance of being a bar owner. I bought into a club he had, and then the next thing you know, it was 2, and then I had my own, and went from being a mentor to business partners again, to enemies for years, to rivals, to being, it's more like a big brother deal. He's taught me a lot. He's good people. He'll be mayor of Canton one day. If they can quit screwing around with the elections up there. He's ran the last 2. It gets closer and closer every time, and they find new corruption every time.
Really?
Yeah, they just arrested a bunch of folks.
Damn.
So at some point, Chip will be mayor of Canton, and they'll get that all turned around up there.
Man, speaking of, look, I laughed this morning talking about recounting and stuff.
Yeah.
Look, so we watched the news this morning. They said Georgia is going to recount again. Them poor people.
Well, so I know I see Valerie here. We talk about this every day about the recount stuff. We got this guy we work with. Our guy worked with Will Taylor, and Will is a unique individual, older black conservative.
Right.
And sits at his desk and listens to Alex Jones all day.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff, which, I'm all about it. But Will accost anybody that walks through the door, and him and Valerie go back and forth all the time. It's great to hear. So we've been talking about this recount deal every day. But so about the Georgia recount, so the first recount, they just want to reuse the same numbers. Well, that's not you're just recounting the total. That'd be like me saying, okay,
so they didn't recount the ballots?
No, so that would be like me saying, I'm going to recount the COVID numbers for the last week and just go look at the daily total of every day and add them up.
Right.
That's not a recount.
I thought they actually recounted the ballots.
No, now they got to go back and certify, and they're going to audit and make sure there's a matching signature and everything followed guidelines.
Right.
Look, what's going to end up happening, and this is just my opinion here, a lot of these states are going to get thrown out. The whole vote is going to be deemed useless. It's going to go to the electors in the state.
Right.
And if they go party line by state, you have, I want to say it's 34 conservative states to 16 Democrat states.
Right.
Trump is your president for 4 more years, theoretically.
Right.
We'll see what happens. It's still early in the process and a lot's going on, but it's very interesting. Even if Trump doesn't,
you ain't seeing that nowhere though, Clay. They talk about trying to transition and everything. I had some friends actually had a little celebration in the streets of Jackson. Whenever don't misunderstand me.
You got to be careful about believing it. So, my theory on that is the mainstream media, the same people who are telling you this, are the same ones who told you the Russia collusion was real for 4 years.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
I'm with you.
I don't believe so. Even all the polls and stuff. I don't believe in none of that crap. I don't believe in the news. I don't believe in none of that crap.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, man. It sounds, you know what I mean?
So,
and I'm not arguing against it. I don't know.
So, my thought process is this: realistically, even if it doesn't work out,
right?
If we got to know that the election isn't
We got to know it's
being
legit.
screwed with,
right? We do. I agree. And I'm not arguing that they don't need to recount.
Count every real vote.
Right. I believe because they don't need to see any questions. If Biden legit won, then there don't need to be any questions about that. You know, and if he legit won, then we have 4 years to see what he can do.
Yeah.
If he can do anything, then we need to see. But I don't think, no matter who wins, so whenever Trump became president, they fought him tooth and nail from the very beginning.
Yep.
Resist, impeach from the beginning. It was no letting him, nothing. Like, they fought him the whole 4 years, right? So, if let's say he's the president-elect. When he takes seat, he's going to be fought for the whole damn 4 years.
Now, this is where we'll disagree. Is I believe he should be. If they leave the election looking like there was some tomfoolery involved.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for the last 4 years we've been, as Trump supporters, we've been attacked. We've been,
I agree with that.
demonified.
I agree.
Nazified.
I know.
You know,
I agree.
We're supposed to be the most hateful, vengeful people in the world. You know, I just want to know that Biden won it straight up. That's all I want to know. You know,
Right.
make sure there's too much crazy stuff, and they say, "Oh, well, that's just an isolated incident that got blown out of proportion." Well, let's just prove that that's the case then,
Right.
and move on. If he won, he won. If he didn't, he didn't. But let's know, because if he's not if he won through cheating, and we're just going to say, well, you know, I mean, sure, there's proof he cheated, but we can't overturn an election. Well, then why? Then we just need to cheat next time.
You know,
That creates a big problem.
Right, it does, man.
You know, so people got to trust me. I'm going to go stand out there for 2.5, 3 hours to cast my vote. I got to know it matters. I got to know it counted.
I agree with all that. I do agree with all that. I just feel like, you know, like for 4 years, resist, impeach.
Yeah.
And then we get a Democrat president. It's going to be 4 years of resist, impeach. The line was so down the middle, so evenly with votes this year. You know, I think they say that what they're saying, how the vote is counted down, is that Biden has had the most votes ever, and Trump has come in second and having the most votes ever, right?
Yeah.
But it's so split down the middle that, look, man, if more people don't start living in the gray,
Yep.
this country's always going to be divided.
Yeah.
This country is always going to be at each other's throat, man. And, you know, I don't see any other way to stop
it's gotten really
the hate
bad.
against each other, bro.
I don't either. Not from the political perspective. It's at a point now though where I know my side wants revenge.
Right.
You know, it's like
I know.
But we had to sit here.
Now it's our turn. I understand
Yeah.
that, bro. I know, I do. That's why. But see, I don't see that ever stopping. I see that as a never-ending cycle because look how far back it's gone. It's just gotten worse.
Well, you know,
All the way back, I will say, before Reagan.
Well, I think where it really started getting bad, and I can only speak from my lifetime, we're the same age, is going into Bush Jr.'s second term.
Right.
You know, it was.
That's when all the right.
You're stuck in this perpetual war, and it was just like, and then Obama came, and then that created a bunch of tension, and especially by his second term. It's something about going into a president's second term that people you start getting very divided.
Well, I think the problem is that, and I agree, it started at George W. and then went to Obama, and it's escalated.
And then I think Hillary was such a terrible candidate.
Yeah.
And the way she attacked all Trump supporters, that it was a basket of deplorables. And,
I know.
And it created this monster.
Yeah.
You know, and then all the shenanigans out of the left the last 4 years. And I'm not throwing the old baby out with the bathwater here. There's good people on both sides.
Yeah.
But it's just like, ugh.
But the politics of it, bro, there's nothing good in none of it.
No.
When as far as the division.
Yeah.
You know, they prey on it. They prey on that division, and I mean, it just kills me, man. And for people that are watching this who don't understand what we're talking about when I say live in the gray, it's I believe 100% that everything's not written in black and white.
No.
You know, that when I say black and white, we're not talking about race, we're just talking about, you know, in life in general, there's a gray area. You know, when it comes to politics, you know, I guess you could say purple when it comes to red or blue, you know, there's a gray area that you know, if more people. So we had George W. and then we had President Obama. President Obama's far left, right? Then we get Trump, far right, right?
Well, I can make an argument that it's not quite so much. I think Obama was so far left. Once you brought it back to center,
Right.
it was deemed far right.
Yeah, okay, I can see that too. Bro.
You know,
what I mean?
I think it's like when you counterweight something, sometimes
Right.
it can be deemed as.
But where we are now is divided as down the middle as the country is.
Yeah.
So that is viewed as far right to half the country. You know
Well,
what
now
I mean?
anything left or right of center right now, to so many people just consider
It's radical. Right.
Yeah, you know, it's like if you just
Right.
tip one way, it's you're far left. I'm socially liberal about some stuff, sans abortion. I'm very pro-life, but socially, like gay stuff don't bother me. Never has, never will. I don't care. To each their own. That's the job between you and God.
That's me
You know,
too. I agree
whatever
with
else.
that.
I don't want to see all that crap in my commercials.
Me
Like
neither.
it's been a big thing here lately. A bunch of
I agree.
Oreos came out with this big anti-straight white male commercial the other day, and then Ritz crackers came out with something. I just don't need that in my commercial for your
Right.
product. I don't care. I don't want it to be. I don't even know what a far right commercial would look like. You know, maybe building a wall. I don't know how border security became a far left, far right issue. Anyway, it should be just an American issue. But I don't want to get into that.
Well, because
You know, it's just-
because I think it all comes down to votes.
Yeah.
Like if and it just how I feel about it. You know, I don't believe that immigration should be a partisan issue.
Yeah,
I believe it should be a human rights issue. You know, and so we can't let everybody over here because you can't. You got. I want to know that my daughter can go to the movies and not worry about a goddamn suitcase bomb being brought in.
No,
there.
but you know, this
But-
this anchor baby crap's got to
Right.
stop too.
Right, but at the same time, you know, it's in the Bible
Yeah.
to treat those from other lands in your country as if they were from your country.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, Jesus said those words. It might not be verbatim, but that's exactly what he said. So,
I can treat you great, but that don't mean you should be able to vote here.
well, right. Well, you know, not necessarily just you know, if I
Yeah.
was if I lived in Mexico off in the whatever, you know what I mean. I would do whatever I could to get over here to take care of my family.
Well, which that tells you, if America was such a terrible place that everybody thinks it is,
Right.
why are they digging holes to get here?
Right. America's
You
a
know,
beautiful place.
it-
America's the best country on the face of this planet.
Even at its worst, which
Even
it
at
has
its
been
worst.
the
Right.
last 12 years has been rough.
Yeah.
You know, but even at its worst, it's still better than anywhere else, pound for pound.
That's right.
You know, I would still jump in front of the most far left American to catch a bullet.
That's right.
Before I would anybody from Canada or anywhere else. You know, I'm just making a point here. I love Americans, you know, and I read an article today from a far left newspaper, and they were talking about, you know, we're going to start flying the American flag again. No, you shouldn't be allowed to because you quit because you didn't like the president.
Right.
This should be completely irrelevant of politics.
Right. It should be. I agree.
Shouldn't matter. Now,
Yeah.
this one, it shouldn't be either, but it's the 1776, and I get it.
Right.
But red, white, and blue, it shouldn't matter. You know,
Right.
that's why I have it set up where we're just below it at all times. It should always be above our
Yeah.
heads. You know, and it's just like, if you took it down, I feel like you lose the right to put it back up.
You know, I'm friends with some people who think differently about the American flag.
I get it,
And the thing about it is,
but
And-
I just don't agree with them.
I don't have to agree with them, but I understand their perspective now that I've heard it. Actually really heard it and listened to what they were saying.
Yeah.
But that don't mean that I'm gonna, if I'm out at an event, Talladega, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be at Talladega all the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand up when they do the national anthem because I respect the men and women that have died for our country. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, some of my friends they take it back, way back, when it comes to the American flag and the original Star Spangled Banner where verses were taken out. You know what I mean? And I understand that.
Yeah, but I'll still make the argument that you're better off here now
I agree. We're better off here now than anywhere.
than any situation
I agree.
based on the current world Now you can make an argument that maybe America wouldn't be this great place if it hadn't have been for the work that the slaves did and all that stuff. And you could convince me of that. You know, you can make a solid argument that, you know, America was built on the back of slaves and it wouldn't be this great place if it wasn't for slave labor. I'm open enough to say, okay, yeah, you can entertain me with that, but I could make the same argument that maybe people would have just picked up a damn shovel and, you know, that seems to be the American spirit of figuring out a way to make it work regardless.
Right.
But, you know, wasn't there for the sake of arguments. I can understand them not liking it, but I would still have to say that being here in America in 2020, as fucked up as it is, excuse my language,
Yep.
it's better than being over in some Sahara desert in Africa or anywhere else dealing with that third world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can say, well, maybe it wouldn't be a third world if all those people hadn't have been sent over here. You know, I don't know. I mean, these are big what ifs, but I can only look at reality.
You can what if all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can only look at where we're at now, and reality and real history is, very successful people in life usually have a lot of enemies.
Yep.
And they did some scrupulous things to become very successful.
Right.
America is very successful. And some scrupulous things were done by some people to get it to this point.
Right.
And you can argue about the rights, the wrongs, the semantics of it all day, but at the end of the day, we're here. I think there's more diversity than there's ever been. There's more equal rights than there's ever been.
Yeah.
Even to the point that there's now such a thing called a diversity hire, where you have to hire people of a certain. They don't have to be they don't have to be black or Chinese or anything. They just have to be a minority.
Right, and also in schools and colleges and stuff like that. They do the same thing.
And like the Asians, there's a whole nother argument to be made. Like the Asians have been kind of playing the system on the college stuff, and they're getting a lot of scholarships because like what a lot of rich Asians will do is come to America, have their kid. So we always look at it like it's a Mexico thing.
Right, no,
There's a lot of Asians, like very successful Asians, that will come here and have their kids, so their kid can be an American citizen, and then they qualify for all the good schools, the scholarships, and everything in America, and you know, and that they're considered a minority, and that is taking opportunity away from African Americans. California just tried to repeal the 16th, not 16th Amendment. It was the diversity thing. What was it? California. See, I'll tell you, somebody told me California just tried to repeal where you cannot make a decision based on somebody's race. You just have to call it down the board. They wanted to repeal that and be able to say, no, there's too many Asians in a deal. But I'm getting into the mud here. But we live in a great place.
We do.
I love my black friends as much as I love anybody else. I mean, it doesn't matter white, black, you're my friend or my friend. I don't give a damn. We live in this very polarizing time where so much has got to be black, so much has got to be white. You got to have you got to massage everything you say not to offend anybody. And I got to that point where I've just quit massaging things. Well, and it's just like I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to make fun of stereotypes, my own and yours.
Right.
You know. Yeah. And I'm going to deal with the fallout of it. And if you know me and you know Clay, the real person, you know that you know where I am, you know where I'm at in my heart, and if you can deal with that. I mean, I have to sit here and listen to things that I don't like and read things I don't like all the time.
All the time, right.
You know, but I've never once thought about picking up the phone and be like, "Does so and so work for you?" Well, let me just tell you what I saw online.
Right.
You know, I would never do that.
I know, people kill me with that, man.
You know, it's just like, come on, man. How about you just...
If I see something I don't like, I just scroll past it. I don't...
And, I may unfriend somebody. You know, it's like, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life because, you know, whatever. But
look, I unfriended so I don't normally do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally unfriend anybody. I don't care about politics.
I was doing it, cleaned about 400 people off my friends list the other day.
Look, so this is when that little boy got killed in his yard. Damn it, I want to remember the boy's name, man.
Back over the summer.
The little bitty boy and the black guy shot him point blank in his yard.
In Carolina.
Right.
In North Carolina, yeah.
Was his name Hunt or something?
No, and I can pull it up,
but anyway, So I'm friends with people on my page because they started out commenting on something I posted, I think. I can't remember, but so I woke up next morning and they're like both, oh man, it was a far right wing guy and a far
Cannon Blake Bananas.
That's his name.
Bananas Cannon, yeah.
But so I unfriended both of them just for the nasty stuff that they were saying. He was comparing it mad. He was mad because he felt like that Cannon wasn't getting enough media coverage as compared to George Floyd, which those two situations had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
And then she was mad because he was mad.
Yeah.
And she said, you're just mad because y'all couldn't hunt him down and hang him up in the middle of the city for that little white boy or something like that.
Yeah.
Look, man, I clowned on both of them and got them both off my page.
Yeah, that whole thing, that got ugly and it went there. That was the argument on both sides. It was like,
It's so stupid,
it was like,
man.
I don't care. The race thing was irrelevant. And
Right.
that, it was like a little boy got killed.
Little boy got killed
Over some, basically,
And
some
y'all-
kind of drug deal going bad with his dad and the guy.
And y'all ain't even arguing. So here's my thing: they wasn't even saying anything about the little boy. They were talking about the media coverage
Yep.
and pointing fingers at each other. You know what I mean? To hell with what y'all think. This little boy got killed. His family, the community is in mourning.
Yep.
And you two idiots, not you two, you hundreds of thousands of
Oh, yeah.
idiots are
Yeah.
on here arguing.
I went at the media on that one because it was coming off that George Floyd stuff. It was just like the patron saint of George Floyd, and then it was like, well, hold on now, all this stuff,
I
all
get
this stuff,
that.
and then this kid gets killed. You know, if we're gonna make everything about race in the media, it was screwed up. And they did not give it any coverage, comparatively speaking, to the point that some media people came out trying to defend it.
Right.
You know,
but see, I just feel like, man, whenever we dwell on shit like that all the time,
Yeah, but it does.
then
It
we
goes-
just feed the frenzy.
It goes back to the divisiveness. But here's the thing. Well, it's okay for the left to shove that crap down our throats. You know, about
Right.
everything. If you make everything about race 24/7, don't be upset when somebody talks about race back at you.
I agree with that too.
You know what I mean? And that's where I started getting way more comfortable talking about black and white stuff.
Right.
Because I was like, well, clearly it's all we're going to talk about. It's all the media talks about. It's all people talk about on Facebook. It's all social media talks about. It's all anybody talks about. I should be able to talk about it.
I agree
You
with
know,
that.
within a respectful tone, but an honest tone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and call people names or nothing like that. It's not my thing. You know, I don't attack people.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
You know,
people got nasty.
Yeah, I'm not. You're gonna have a hard time going back in this platform and find about me attacking an individual person. There have been people I have problems with, and you know, I will not back down.
Right.
You know, I mean, I will make it known that I'm not gonna do one of the passive aggressive Facebook posts where
Right.
I'm mad and you know who you are.
Right.
I'm gonna tag you. You know what I mean? But just attacking to a person, that ain't my gimmick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't have gimmicks either, but that's just not my thing.
Right.
But, you know, so I'm just not going to go at people like that. And I also don't want to give people attention if I ain't got to.
Yeah.
You know? So,
That kind of goes back to the individual we was talking about in the kitchen earlier.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
sometimes stuff just don't deserve a response.
No, I mean, just roll with it and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
move on. And that's kind of how I've been. I mean, there's some people that I grew up with, known for 20-something years. I say grew up with. I mean, my adult life grew up with. And when I started this page, man, they just went on this rant on their page, Facebook page, about me being this terrible racist. And I'm like, I post pictures of empty, that for the first 6 months to a year of this page, it was just pictures of empty buildings.
Right.
And somehow that made me this vile racist. You know, and that really, it pissed me off, because I'm like, well, so we're just making everything about that now?
Right.
You know, like, was I a racist when you were performing at my birthday party?
Right.
You know, and when we were doing business together?
Right.
You know, was I this vile, terrible human being then?
Right. No,
Or
I
is
agree.
it just now?
I agree with that. You know, and that's also where, you know, everything's not about black and white.
Mm.
it's not, everything's not about black and white, man. And some people think that everything is about black and white. Everything, you know? And
when you make everything about it, you know, like everything that your public persona puts off, it makes people think that that's what everything's about, and it just becomes this aggravating hamster wheel.
Right.
You know, and it's hard to get off of it.
See, I literally don't look at anybody as black and white, like at all. Like I just don't. And I've had a couple far left people that I almost had a little argument about tell me you have to see a black person as a black person to understand the struggle that they went through. So like I said, man, shut up.
Yeah.
No, I don't look at people as black and white. If you my brother or my sister, you know, I got my brothers and sisters of all races, man. I don't look at myself as a white man. I'm a Christian who happens to be white. That's how I look at myself, you know?
I'm with you, man.
But a lot of people see black and white hard.
I love hanging out with, we're going to say my color. I love being around black folks because I love the culture.
Right.
I love the laid back mentality, you know, most of the time. You know, I like being able to pick somebody different's brain. It was one of my notes to how to save Jackson in 17 easy steps without having to actually do anything. Is get you some friends that are different than you.
Right.
You know, and it's really good.
And that's big right there, Clay.
It is like, because you need to know that I'm not some evil. Well, I feel like if I represent white people, that we're not all some kind of evil Nazis as the media would portray us. Just like people need to get their black friends to understand that blacks aren't all these evil thugs out running around shooting everybody like the media would have you think.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
Like that's the extreme version of each.
You're right.
Of each race, and this go back to your gray area stuff. Most of us are way more in the gray
than
not
anybody
anything like that crap.
That's right. I believe that 100%.
But when all the media does is shove that crap down your throats, you feel like everybody. It goes back to division. You know, and you start thinking, well, that's how everybody is. If they're white, that's how they got to be. If they're a Trump supporter, that's how they got to be. If they're black and a Biden supporter, and that's just Biden this month, it's just Trump this month. You know, whoever the person is down the road.
I'm with you.
You know, like 4 years ago, it was a Clinton supporter. It was an Obama supporter. You know, whatever.
Right.
It was a Bush supporter. You know, whatever. It just, I'm just over it.
I'm way over it, bro.
You know, I'm just exhausting myself saying it all, trying to make it make sense. But it's just like I'm over it.
I'm over it. I'm so over it that I just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't even care about any of that anymore.
I mean, I'm gonna fight this fight on the election stuff, man, because I feel like we have to know. You're gonna have to show why the irregularities happened. You know,
I agree.
And let's get this behind us.
I agree, because if it looks like a tainted election, then dear Lord, man, that's the last thing we need.
Yeah.
Is for the whole world.
Yeah.
And
because if America goes to
last
war
year they tried. So last election, it was the Russia collusion.
Yeah.
That made it this big tainted election.
And it all come out. I mean, there's factual information that was all set up by the Obama Clinton folks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, deep state, fact, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
You can go pull all this up.
Right. And I agree.
And the media
with you.
knew this, and they still shoved that narrative down everybody's throat, kept promising their followers that, oh no, this is the week, this is the week, this is the week. So now that you have the Trump administration and his lawyers saying, we got big stuff, this is the week, this is the week.
So instead of Russia collusion, now it's
election
fraud.
Just
Man,
on the other
it's
side.
going to be something with our election every time. I just don't see a way out of that now.
And I don't want to be like monkey see, monkey do here, but I do feel like you have to let this run its course. Just like we did a multi-year investigation.
On
everything to prove the Russian stuff was or wasn't real. It wasn't real.
Right.
Like, well, I don't think this ain't gonna take a couple of years to figure out. They got till basically January 20th to get the same figured out.
Right.
And then I'm not sure what happens after that. I hadn't dug that deep into it, but let this play its course. Our founding fathers were as time goes. I talked about this on the Kim Wade show today. As time goes, you realize how smart our founding fathers were when they wrote that Constitution.
Right.
I brought this up on Kim's show. And he said, he's like, man, they knew what was inside a man's heart and the different ways that he would try to cheat things. And they basically made this thing bulletproof through technology, through politicians, through everything. That Constitution, that Bill of Rights, man, it is stood the test of time. There's people that want to shred it and make it go away.
I know.
But it is set there where only so much shenanigans can take place.
Right.
I mean, it truly, as long as the Supreme Court stays at 9 people, which I know that hadn't been a lifelong thing, but it's been the last 100 or so years, 150 years, I think they've had it at 9.
Yeah.
You know,
Talking about the Supreme Court, check this out. Tell me what you know about this. So me and my pastor had this conversation a while back. And he said, you know what? Whether anybody likes Trump or loves Trump or whatever, so there's been a guy, and somebody watching might know about this and might know the name, because I don't know his name, but I think he's just a regular Joe. Said he dreamed or he prophesied that Trump would appoint 3 Supreme Court justices during his first term, during his term as president.
Yeah.
And so Pastor Bobby, you know, he's been watching it all this time, and I'll be damned if Trump didn't appoint 3 Supreme Court justices during his presidency. Ain't that crazy, man?
It is. Look, I'm going to tell you, even if...
Because that's huge. People don't understand. So people worried about this presidency, worried about blah, blah. The Supreme Court is the final law of the land.
You also got 200 lower court judges put in by Trump.
Right.
Obama left. He was asleep at the
think
wheel.
it's crazy how some normal Joe, and like somebody can Google this and check it out, prophesied that of all people, Donald J. Trump would appoint 3. Whether you believe that's a good move or not, well, no matter what side you stand on politically, I just think that's.
Well, this is what we preached about, you know, in the ground in the 2016 election. We preached you don't have to like Trump. He may not be your guy. He may not line up with a lot of things you say. But if you are a conservative, you vote for Trump because at the Supreme Court, it was about to tilt. We knew some people were about to be done, and Ginsburg should have stepped down. She tried to hold on because she wanted to step down under the first female president.
Right.
Then she tried to stay alive
through
Trump. And it just didn't work out. She should have stepped down.
She should have stepped down, right?
You know, and that would have taken care of that. You know, at least it would have you it would be miserable because you'd be in a deadlock.
Right.
You know, but anyway, so you got 3 Supreme Court, and you got over 200 lower court judges placed by Trump. Even if he's a one-term president, he did more in that one term for the conservative values, whether you agree with them or not. This is just fact for the conservative values than any president in history has ever done.
Right.
As far as how much stuff he was able to put into place. So, you know, you win some, you lose some, and you can call it losing the war, winning some battle. I think you got the Supreme Court, you won the war, and they lost the battle.
That was my point in that. That was my whole point in that. So the Supreme Court is the law of the land. They're the last final call on anything. I mean, even hell, Donald Trump can't even, you know, and he's trying to get them to, they're dismissing stuff from the president. You know, the Supreme Court is the law of the land.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be apolitical, you know, so.
But
you have conservative values,
right?
And that's where it comes into play.
And see, I guess that's where I'm at, man. Because I have those conservative values, but there's so much on each, so much with the Republican Party, man, that I just can't ride with, and there's a lot more on the Democrat side that I can't ride with. So I guess that's why I'm so center right.
Yeah. We're going to have to do something with prison, real deal prison reform. I know Trump's done something, but I don't know what all they did. It was supposed to be sweeping, big, and prison reform is great. Well, criminal justice.
I was going to say criminal justice reform is even more important than prison reform.
Yeah,
they're both important, but criminal justice reform, less people will be going to prison.
Yeah, we got to, it's one of the things I mentioned. You read my pillars. You know, stay out of the system. We got to get people out of the system.
See, that takes me back to this thing the city of Jackson's wanting to do, or paying $500,000 to Holmes County and Yazoo County by sweeping the streets and getting all the young people from misdemeanor. You're starting that damn incarceration cycle. You're starting that mindset with these young kids, man. That's pivotal. That's dangerous for the mindset of these young people. They're not all a bunch of little killers. They're not all a bunch of little thugs. Look, so we're starting our Dignity Economy Fellowship program. That's our Work Readiness program, our Strong Arms of Jackson Work Readiness program.
Is that the one we're taking part in?
Yeah, that's the one y'all are taking part in. So we've going out to Wood Village and Rebelwood and passing out applications and stuff, and we run up on this group of kids and we talk to them, give them applications. One of these kids found my co-director to run, found his house to put that application in his mailbox.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That kid wants something, bro.
Yeah.
You know, that kid wants a change, right? But he could be one of them kids that they sweep the streets and get him for a misdemeanor and lock him up for 2 months because he can't afford a bond over in Holmes County.
Yeah.
And cancel all that.
Ain't even got somebody to come to Holmes County to get him.
Ain't got nobody come to get him, you know. So that's the part on it I'm on. You know what I mean? They could use that.
Where's the line in the sand?
Where's it at? Thank you.
You know, where's the line that says this has got to go? It's a misdemeanor, but you know you got to go. You got to go sit down for a minute. I mean, I'm not saying you got to stay for a couple months. I just know that a couple overnight trips to jail for me,
right?
You know, was enough at those particular points. You know, I kind of veered back off. You know, after a couple of years, veered back off after a couple of years. But you know, but a night or two in jail, you know, was like, okay, that's a reset. That's a popular word right now. The Great Reset. It was a great reset for me.
Right. See, like, so the city of Ridgeland has a harm reduction program going. Angela Mallett, me and her and Casey Prine John Eves, that's her name, Casey John Eves. We call her Casey Prine. That's her maiden name. That's what everybody knows her. But we already had a meeting at Richland Police Department to talk to them about this. So Angela has a program in place in Ridgeland where the police, if they affront someone who is an obvious drug addict, obvious has mental health problems, or even something as simple as don't have their driver's license and it's repeated like I used to be.
Yeah.
They can defer those individuals to Angela's program on the scene, or they can do it at court. So she's at court every whatever day it is of the week, right? And what she is an arrest diversion program. They can go to her, and so if they can get into drug treatment, they can get counseling, they can get mental health help, they can get their driver's license back. They can do all this stuff without accumulating all these fines and stuff that they're going to be accumulating by catching all these misdemeanor stuff. Because so if they just sweeping the streets looking for stuff to arrest people for, right? They're going to find all type of damn misdemeanors they can arrest people for.
Sure.
And they're just putting these fines on these young people. A lot of these young kids, there ain't hardly no jobs in Jackson.
You know, but here's where I think they should go with that. Instead of misdemeanor, especially nonviolent misdemeanors. Right. Community cleanup. We don't have prisoner cleanup crews anymore.
And you don't have to. And you can do a community cleanup.
Legit community service.
Right.
You know, not just show up to a meeting, get a notepad signed,
right?
A signature, a slip signed, like legit cleanup crew or whatever. You know, painting old buildings. There's got to be something. You know, and businesses that may need a little work, maybe they can pay this. Surely there's some legalities here, but like, hey, when we need this big project cleaned up and done, can we pay this program X amount?
Check this out
to do it.
So this that you're talking about. Just like the program that Angela's got going in Ridgeland.
Just like common sense gun laws.
Just like, right? This is common sense laws too. You know what I mean? So instead of taking that $500,000 and paying Holmes County and Yazoo County, why can't they take that money to start programs like we're talking about?
Yeah.
Isn't that more compassion? Isn't that more trying to help the young people instead of starting them off climbing out of a hole, trying to pay fines and get out of jail and bond and all that? That's where I'm at. Why can't you take that? So we went and spoke in front of city council. Look, check out what city council did. Jackson City Council did this. We went up there and spoke in front of city council about this whole situation, and then I told them, you know, why can't you use this money for community programs instead of locking people up? Because you're defeating the purpose. You're creating more problems in these young people's lives rather than fixing the root problems that they have going on in their life that's causing them to do the things that they do. And so what they did was they
Are those private prisons they're sending them to? What are they?
do what now?
Are those private facilities that they're sending them to?
Homes in Yazoo, yeah, I think they're region or private. It's about money. It's all about money. They're paying them. That's what that $500,000 is for.
Right, and
from what I understand,
they're getting paid.
Right.
They're getting kickbacks.
Right.
One form, fashion, or another.
That's right. And from what I understand, man, they're even taking this money from the CARES Act money, and that money is supposed to be used for COVID stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the wrath of God to come down on people once they decide to go. Well, no, with Biden it ain't gonna happen, but hopefully the states are in charge of it, and Shad White can get on. If Shad White decides to come down on people, the state auditor about this CARES Act money,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people that are out there, a lot of city council people that are out there in Yazoo and Copiah County sitting in a cell with those kids they sent out there.
Right, but let me tell you what City Hall did after that. They made a new rule in the City Hall to where there's only, I don't even want to speak on it and be wrong. They cut out public comment.
I know, I saw that.
They cut out public comments. And
Due to COVID.
People that don't understand what that means is they're silencing.
It's taxation without representation.
Exactly. They're silencing community members' voices to be heard in city council whenever they make decisions.
Yeah.
That's suppression.
And of course, they'll say your representation is the person you voted for as a city councilman, so it's not taxation without representation.
Right.
But it's getting mighty close.
They don't want people like me and Tarun and Valerie and Sharon. They don't want none of us or you or anybody. They don't want us coming up there and expressing our beliefs and how we feel they're doing something wrong. So they made a rule to where only, I can't remember how many people.
I know. I saw it the other day.
Hardly nobody's allowed to speak at those things now.
Yeah. Man, it's a joke.
It's crazy, man.
It is an absolute joke. What was they passed this thing. One second here. I'm close to it. I don't know why I can't find it. Anyway, it was about that. And then there was another thing they did about gated communities that I've been trying to figure out for the last couple of hours. I can't remember. I must have saw it on WLBT, but man, getting off track.
What are they doing with gated communities?
They passed something now, an amendment to the gated community thing. Let's see if I can find it real quick. And this is another thing I'm kind of torn on, but I agree with it. As long as Jackson is in the shape it is crime-wise, if neighborhoods and homeowners associations have the means and the ability and the wherewithal to put a gate up in their neighborhoods, then so be it.
Yeah, why not? So there's a problem with gated communities now in Jackson?
Well, yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to find it. Oh, here it is. Amends gating ordinance for third time in 9 years. This is on WLBT.com. At its meeting on Tuesday, the Jackson City Council approved amendments to the public access gating ordinance. Vote caps a more than a year-and-a-half effort to amend the ordinance after contentious public hearings caused two neighborhoods to withdraw their applications in 2019. I feel the amendments have been good and increased the amount of input at the community level, increased transparency, says Virgil Lindsay. Lindsay thanked Council President Banks as well as blah, blah, blah. Banks introduced changes to the ordinance to the spring of 2019 following two contentious. I'm trying to skip over here to what they actually changed. All right, among the amendments, the rules add pre-application process the neighborhoods must go through before submitting a formal application. Under provisions, neighborhoods must have a pre-application meeting with staffers from the city's Department of Planning and Development. They also must submit conceptual drawings, layout for the gates. From there, the city and community meeting to share conceptual designs, see blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I guess there is now supposed to be easier to turn your neighborhood into a gated community. I will share this in the comments, and you guys can read it. I don't want to get bogged down with it.
So, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
I don't either, but man, as with anything, stuff gets manipulated,
Right.
or people can't get their hands in the pie, and as Jackson goes, man. To me, that's the biggest problem in Jackson, is people are so worried that somebody's going to make a penny without them getting, or going to make a dime without them getting their nickel.
Right.
That it's just like, man, we've cut off our nose to spite our faces for so long. We've blamed it on everything you can blame it on. I'm just at this point where the whole Save Jackson thing is kind of converted into this. Yeah, I don't want to steal somebody else's tagline here, but it is about accountability. It's about looking yourself in the mirror and saying, where have we screwed up and what can we do to fix it?
Right.
We're all part of the problem because we've been complacent for so long.
Look at the city council. How long has each member been on the city council?
We talked about this today.
You know,
it's like the term limit things should be, and then you got a lady just won Ward 2 in a runoff.
She won it?
Well, my understanding what she did, but she voted in Ridgeland the last 2 or 3 elections, up to back in March or April. So you're supposed to have lived here for 2 years.
Right.
Well, how the hell you vote in Ridgeland in 3 or 4 months ago?
I didn't know nothing about that. That don't seem.
It's just like, come on, man. You keep telling rules for thee, but not for me.
Right.
And this is where I think eventually people are going to run out of their patience with all this politics stuff. Whether, I don't care if you're on the left or the right or whatever, they start talking about these lockdowns, all this BS. It's just this ruling class. People are going to snap.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of that George Floyd stuff wasn't about George Floyd. People have been pent up, especially in these major cities, high density urban areas. They've been pent up in their apartments for a while. Lockdowns, couldn't work. Times are hard. Watching nothing but the news. Everything seems doom and gloom. And then there was an opportunity to get out and go release some pent up frustration.
Right.
I'm not saying that a lot of it wasn't people out there, for their cause, but I think a lot of it was, how much can I get away with because I'm pissed off?
Right.
And we're burning buildings down and nobody's stopping. We're breaking in stuff. Nobody cares.
Right.
I want in on that.
Yeah.
And
I ain't never been with, a lot of people.
No, me either.
Right.
But I'm just saying. I think that if they try to lock us down again, I think the whole damn country is gonna revolt.
I think maybe not the whole country, but there's gonna be a whole lot of people who's just gonna say, "Hell with y'all."
Yeah,
I'm not locking down. I'm not going. But
especially if you ain't getting reimbursed.
Right.
If you get Bernie Sanders talking about, we need to lock it down and give everybody $2,000 a month. Well, bro,
where's that money gonna come from?
Well, where's it? We're just gonna print more. But there's cats at $2,000 a month. Ain't gonna work for me, bro.
Ain't gonna work for me.
And that's a portion of my income.
Right.
Or my bills. It ain't so much about how much money you make; it's about how much money you cost.
Right.
I cost a lot more than that.
Right, I do, man.
And supporting my family and stuff is expensive.
Yep.
And we do it as a group, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
The bills ain't gonna quit coming.
That's right. They're not gonna quit coming.
I mean,
so every month during this whole pandemic.
That's how you push me to civil disobedience. I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So every month during this pandemic, I have, every month when I pay my house note, or when I pay my phone bill, or when I pay my truck note, I do everything online. And every one of them's got this little COVID-19 thing on top of it right there. But they're not asking you not to pay your bill.
Mm-hmm.
But it all has a COVID-19, if blah, 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 pay here.
Yeah.
So
it's all going to come back. It's like people who deferred stuff.
It's going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, man, that some stuff they changed it. Where, like, say you had a 60-month loan and you missed 3 months, now you have a 63-month loan. They moved it to the end. But a lot of that stuff, man, lump sum type stuff.
Right.
But hey, we know you got that 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
We want our
that's something I
900.
wanted. So the 1,200, that we got, the stimulus that we got. Look,
That's 1,200 less you're getting on returns this year.
right, that's what I'm thinking, man. You know what I mean?
It
So that's what it is, right?
1,200 less you're gonna get on your tax returns, and if you owe money, you're gonna owe them 1,200.
Right.
You know.
Right, so ain't nothing free.
No.
You know?
And also, I want to make sure I say this right. I may be a little off here, but that unemployment benefits people are getting, that's taxable.
Right.
So you're gonna have that 1,200. You're gonna have the unemployment money that was taxable. I think there's not going to be a lot of. I think coming from somebody that's in the car business, that and there could be more money come out, and it could be all null and void here, because they are talking about a second stimulus. Trump been talking about it. Biden's going to be about it.
Yeah.
So there most likely will be a second stimulus, but there's not going to be very many tax returns happening this year. It's going to be
Right.
I think people who get money back, especially that unearned child credit or whatever,
Right.
ain't happening. Because they're going to hit them for that money. There were a lot of people, man, that were getting that unemployment from federal that went back to work.
I tell you what,
And we're still
man.
fine. Man, those people are going to go to jail.
Man, look here, man. So I understand. Like, so when the pandemic hit, a bunch of people couldn't go to work. So
Yeah.
that unemployment helped them. But I know quite a few people that was just getting it. And I was so glad when that was over, because I couldn't get nobody to go to work.
No, man, it was hard. It was hard.
Man, look, I couldn't get nobody to go to work, man.
We were blessed to have a good crew at work, and we're given a lot of flexibility. When you have a good boss, you work for good people. It helps.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of lower tier, type. People weren't getting a pay raise to quit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And there was a lot of that going on in places where people just been able to say, hey, you know what, man, between that and this, I'm only making a couple hundred less a week. I can make that up doing side hustle stuff.
Right.
That you don't want that mentality, man. That creates.
That's what I told. Look, so my guy Justin that runs a truck for me.
Yeah.
He was on unemployment, and I sat him down. I talked to him. I said, look here, man. You are creating a mindset right now that you ain't got to work. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna live off this unemployment while the whole time they're giving it to you. But it's gonna stop.
Yeah.
When it stops, what you gonna do?
There's somebody I know on my Facebook, man, that I sat there and that they were partying like a rock star.
Luckily, Justin come to his senses
That's
and
awesome.
come on back to work, and he's been working hard and
Hell
good.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I sat there and watched a guy, man, go out to Shuckers every day. Just got drunk, Facebook living it the whole time. This, that, and the other that was getting that unemployment. You see when it stopped, those live videos.
They quit.
They quit too. And I was
Right.
like man, your butt set out of work, drank all day, every day.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at you, but I'm guessing you ain't got a penny left.
Right.
And you took a pay cut to not work. So whatever. I mean, teach their own, but once you start giving people free shit, it's hard to take it back.
That's right.
It's hard to stop, however you want to say it. And that's what creates the welfare state, the welfare mentality. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that too, man. That work ethic, bro.
Yeah, man, it goes a long way.
It goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? And if you get used to, a lot of people that got used to that unemployment.
I got used to not going to the gym for the last year.
Right.
I gained 40 some odd pounds.
Right.
You get used to being lazy, or physically, whatever it was, physically lazy.
Right.
No different, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't miss a day. Knock on wood. I ain't missed a scheduled work day.
Oh, I haven't either.
Since before, really in a couple of years.
Right.
I mean, I've taken a day off, like a vacation day, but I've not taken a sick day.
I picked up more work.
Yeah.
It was during the pandemic that we actually launched our Strong Arm program, and my plumbing business. I went on my own and cranked up my own plumbing business during the pandemic, and I haven't slowed down a bit.
So let's start landing this plane a little. We jumped straight in, hot.
We did.
Tell me where y'all at with Strong Arm. I wanted to start here. We just went in and
We did, didn't we? So we're in the process of implementing our work readiness program. It's called Dignity Economy Fellowship Program. And so what we're doing is our deadline for applications was Friday. So we got all our applications. And for anybody that's watching this, so this is just our first pilot of this program. It's going to be 5 or 6 months before we do it again. So when we do it again, applications will go out again, and we're hoping to be able to work with more participants than what we're working with now.
So let me tell y'all what this is in layman's terms. He's been doing this professional spiel for so long. These cats are getting young kids, not just kids, but young adults that are kind of at risk, or maybe getting on the verge of getting caught up in the system, or just getting caught up in the system, and they are getting with employers, and they are paying these kids salaries for up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months to work 3 days a week is what it is, roughly.
So we want to get them. We want to work them at least 3 days a week. We want to work them more than that, but so the other 2 days a week, we're going to be giving them. They're going to be with us. Yeah. Right. We're going to be
fellowship,
mentoring, and training, bro. So, and I'm going to speak from my experience.
Yeah.
Coming up in Jackson, the way I came up. Let's just say, even if I hadn't spent all my juvenile years locked up in detention centers and training schools, I wasn't taught basic fundamental soft skills. I didn't know how. I mean, hell.
How to pay your bills?
Nothing.
Any of that kind of stuff.
Pay bills. I didn't know how to do anything. You know what I mean? So we want to teach. We want to train these young people how to do this stuff, man.
Fill out a job application, have a job interview, anything.
Everything, and not only that, man. We want to just pour some love into them. Give them some positive reinforcement. We want to make sure each participant that we pick has their own laptop. We want to make sure that they have transportation to where they can get to where they're going. You know what I mean? And we just want to spend some time with them. Well, those other 3 days, we want them at these, and your job is one of the companies that's going to sign on with us. And so what we're going to do is...
And that's unrelated to this. That has nothing to do with this. I just saw what he was doing and was like, hey, linked him my boss up, and it's a win-win. It's a chance for us to give back, a chance to help out. Just a win-win. It had nothing to do with our relationship or anything like that. It was just a cool deal, cool opportunity. We want to help. And it seemed it was kind of one of those rare no-lose.
Right. It's a no-lose situation, right? Because you can find some of the best potential in some of these young people. All they need is opportunity. You know what I mean, man? So we're going to pay their salary $15 an hour. We want to pay each one of them $15 an hour. The companies that sign on with us, you know what I mean, agree to pay. That way, after the end of this 6 months, because let's be real, if these young people do this for 6 solid months, they're committed.
Yeah.
They're committed, bro. So
it takes 28 days to form a habit.
28 days to form a habit, right? And so we had this conversation. So we're going to start our orientation the month of December. So the month of December, we're going to do orientation. At the end of orientation, we're going to pick our final participants. And so at first we was like, well, we're going to do orientation in the mornings. We said, well, no, we're not going to do them in the morning. We're going to do it after lunch because these young people ain't used to getting up in the mornings yet.
Yeah.
So we don't want to start something out, destined to fail. So we're gonna do orientation about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoons. During that month, we're gonna be preparing them. Here at the end of orientation, get ready. We're gonna need you to start setting your alarm clock. You know what I mean? And so get them. That's one of the main things. And I mean, hell, some of these young people might get up early, but chances are they getting up around 12, 1 o'clock. Sure. You know what I mean? Give them the word to get up in the morning. Get up in the morning, make your bed. Get up in the morning and you start it like that. Because after orientation, and you're going to be up here with us during the daytime, we're going to need you at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? Because when you go to work, you're going to be there earlier than that. So it's just stuff like that.
Yeah. Bring them up to speed.
Bring them up to speed, and you train them, and and explain to them. You might not have the best day at work today, man. Boss man might piss you off. This is how you deal with that, because people don't have that type of training. Yeah. There's so many households in Jackson that don't have a father in the household, And that's big too, bro. You know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine a while back. He feels like that is the root problem in Jackson. And you know, it is one of the biggest ones.
It is.
You know, and I agree with that. I feel like there's more than one root problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and,
But,
you know,
but that's a big one.
And when we talk about that, you know, that's, I like to be clear, there's not a knock on the woman in the house.
No.
You know, but as you know, one parent can only do so damn much.
It takes a man to make a man.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe in, look, I am all for single mothers have all my respect,
Sure.
all my adoration. I salute all single mothers, right? And I know that it's not their fault. Not everybody. I can't paint a broad stroke
No.
across everybody, but you know, a lot of times it's not their fault that the father's not in the picture.
Yeah.
But that's why, like in Jackson, that's why there needs to be people like us
Yeah.
to be able to stand in the gap for them young people, because they need that positive male influence in their life. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna be doing that too.
And then, you know, I say even if it's only 5 kids initially, I mean, that is 5 more kids. I use the word kids loosely. That are getting that opportunity.
Man, you 30, you about a kid to me.
I know. we always say, you know, folks that are out here trying to do good stuff, and you know, you always hear say, man, if we can save just one life, we can just reach one person.
Right.
We got the opportunity to reach 5 people off the bat.
Off the bat. And
You know,
and once
That trickle down effect can be huge.
it could be huge. And you know, and here's the plan, man. So we're gonna be able to choose 5 at the end. We'll have 5 participants. But at the end of this first 6 months, man, you know, once we show some success, we'll get more money.
Yeah.
So maybe the second group we can have 10 participants, and then maybe we can have 20 participants. You know what I mean? It's going to grow, Clay. I promise you, it's going to grow.
Man,
and when
I don't see how it doesn't.
Right.
Because let me ask this, and if you don't know the answer to this, it's fine because it's kind of a Hail Mary.
All right.
Is there a contingency plan? Let's say the 5 kids you pick, you get a week. They get a week into real world, working, whatnot. They're like,
Right.
screw this, not for me, or they get in trouble, and or whatever the case may be. They
Right.
fall out of the program.
Right.
Have you got a are you just with 3 at that point, or have you got a
So-
contingency to bring some up?
I think so. We haven't really crossed that bridge yet, but when we're leading this program with compassion and understanding, I'm not going to boot a kid out because he had one bad day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. You know, if he
Now, I'm not necessarily referring to a kid having a bad day, and I'm glad you brought that up. But
Right.
I mean, like a kid says, "I'm out."
and we keep saying kid.
Yeah.
This is 18 to 25-year-olds
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah,
So just let
again.
everybody know. But to me, like, that's kids to us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But also, at the end of the day, let's be real. All of them are not going to make it to the end of that 6 months.
No.
You know, a kid could have a bad day, say, hell with this, I'm not doing this, and take off. I'm going to go talk to them and try to get them to come back.
Yeah.
That don't mean they're going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, an employer is going to let them.
Don't mean the employer's
Come back
going to
in-
let them
in-
come
in
back.
this-
Exactly right. You know what I mean? So,
You can move people around. You know, somebody's got to play chess. Sometimes it's personalities. You know, being in
Right.
the car business, I've learned a lot, myself included, in this. Is I can go work somewhere and I can have all the skill and faith in myself in the world.
yeah.
Go one dealership, sell 25 cars a month. Get to another and have bad management, sell 5 cars a month, and be like, "I'm out." Dog.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
personalities
That's right.
meshing well have a lot to do with, you know, knowing your kids. I keep saying kids, but knowing your participants,
Right.
and knowing your the jobs you have lined up, like trying to figure out, put a puzzle together.
And right. And look, who's to say? I mean, I don't know. We might put this kid with this company, this. Well, I keep saying kid too, man. I can't.
It's all right.
Anyway,
for the sake of this conversation, kid.
right. So let's say we put a kid with this company, and it's not a good fit. Well, who's to say we can't take this kid and put him with this company, and take this kid
Yeah.
and find the right fits?
You got
'Cause that's what
has
it's
some
about.
flexibility.
Yeah, have some flexibility. You know what I mean? And so we're going to have a virtual meeting December 2nd with all of our business owners.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about stuff and I guess we're going to ask for a little bit of that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be patient with us, you know, because we want to be able to put people in the right positions. We want to be able to put these kids with the right people, you know. And as long as we're going to be paying them, just let us, you know,
Yeah.
if this kid is not the right fit, let us know. Let them work with us, and because you know, at the end of the day, we don't, like I said, we don't want to set a kid up for failure.
Yeah.
We don't want to set one of these young men or young women up for failure, you know? So, I mean, how many of us have gone, how many jobs have you gone through? You know,
man, you know, in the last.
You know
since
what
I started
I mean?
working for myself, I started working for other people. You know, I went through a phase there my first few years where it was screw you, screw you, screw you, screw
Right.
you. Finally, as I've run out of people to say screw you, I gotta look in the mirror and like, you know, screw you.
Right.
It's such a butt down somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
So it definitely happens.
Right. Yeah. So there's going to be wrinkles we're going to have to iron out with all of it, bro. This is the first time this has ever been done here. You know, I mean, I know they have temp agencies that do something similar and make money off of it, you know, but this is something that's never been done in Jackson.
Yeah. Look, man, I can tell you whether we were going to be whether we were involved or not. When I saw that and I saw it written down on paper, it was like, man, that is just a cool opportunity, and it's giving kids a chance. It's the government or whoever, where the funding's coming from, putting money where the mouth is. Action. It's just taking action.
It's taking action,
You
right?
know, it's real action. You know, I'm looking forward to us getting one of these young men and me being able to work with them some, and you know, even if they're coming to do one thing, you know, I still want to, you know, try to work with these folks and be like,
Yeah.
you know, if you got a problem, man, you know, come and talk, you know.
Yeah.
And
that means a lot to them.
trying to be a role, you know, I know it's not funny to me say be a role model, but you know, try to be a role model, at least an authority figure of sorts that they can trust, positive they can trust.
Right. That's right.
You know, and you know, I feel like it's a way to get back and, you know, reciprocate.
Right. And I think it's also a good opportunity for like talking about the whole race thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a good opportunity. You know, we're in Jackson. I think pretty much all of our participants are going to be black.
Yeah.
I say that because I about know everybody that filled out applications this time. Not
Sure.
that I think, not because of the demographics. I actually know who put in applications.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it gives an opportunity because the fact is, you got a lot of these neighborhoods in Jackson. There is no interaction with white people.
Yeah.
Zero interaction. Period. The only interaction that some of them young people see will be in a store or something,
It's
or
no
what they
different
see
than
on
certain
TV.
rural areas where there's no interaction with black people.
Same thing.
You know, and
Exactly. It's the same concept. You know, so it's
and
a
you ain't
good
got to
way-
go far around here for it to be one way or the other.
Exactly right.
We
I
don't.
promise you.
Even though we've been desegregated,
We're still
we
segregated.
segregate ourselves worse than any population I've ever
We
seen.
do. We do 100%. I agree with that 100%. It kills me, man.
You know, like no matter what, like, you know, being in the bar business for as long as I was, it was all you always hear, that's a black club,
Right.
that's a white club.
Yeah.
You don't hear that's a mixed club too often. Mixed club just means 5 or 6 white people might be in there amongst 500 black people,
Right.
or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
That's we consider that mixed around here.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. That's
So,
right.
So yeah, it's definitely good to it goes back to what I said, man. Get around other people.
Exactly.
Learn other cultures.
Right, and that'll give some of these young people a chance to get around people like you and people like me. You know, in my business, you know, my little small business, we're going to be participating in it too.
Yeah.
And it just gives us a chance. It gives them a chance to see a different side of life too.
Yeah.
You know, I have my guys all over Jackson. All over Jackson. So I'm going to have one of these young people all over Jackson. Because there's kids that live in the Verdon Edition that ain't never been to North Jackson.
Oh, no,
Never.
no. I try to explain that to people.
And all over, you know, all these different neighborhoods. Right, all these different neighborhoods. There's kids in Georgetown that ain't never been to South Jackson. Ain't never left Georgetown.
No.
And so their mind is completely closed to that one little neighborhood.
Like we talk about America, or Mississippi, and kind of repping the country.
Right.
I mean, these folks, and I saw it in the club business. These folks legit, man. They do not leave their circle, except maybe to go to work as they get a little older and right back in.
Yeah.
It is not a whole lot of intermingling. Like this is like just stuff they see on TV. You know,
Right.
it's legit. Very. I hate using the word tribal because I don't want to come across like racial or nothing like that. But I just mean we get in our little cliques and we're very tribal. And you know, in some of these poor urban neighborhoods in
That's what I was
Jackson,
thinking. Say
it's very
the poor urban neighborhoods. Like, so that's where I was going with it. Like, so when I was coming up, I was poor as dirt. Like, we was poor as dirt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason that I knew about North Jackson, South Jackson, West Jackson, because my parents didn't ever pay bills and we moved every 3 months. I've lived all over the damn place, you know what I mean? But these kids that stay right there, they don't venture out because they don't have cars, they don't have resources, they don't know people up here, you know, so they stay right here in this little part of the community, man, and you know, they're closed off from the rest of the world to me, you know, and it's a good way to get some of these young people, to get them out and show them the rest of the city, show them there's more than just your little torn down neighborhood, because most of the neighborhoods in Jackson are torn down.
And then it goes back, we've talked about this before, you know, when all you see is abandonment and destruction and burned out buildings and potholes and, and violence, man, you're going to be the old saying, you're going to be a product of your environment. Yeah. I mean, I get all that. People get frustrated with me because I've lost my patience with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, I don't sugarcoat it anymore about how aggravated I am about all of it. But that's because I'm becoming a product of the damn environment too, and I've gotten pissed off about it.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not to the point of wanting to go be violent. You know, I'm past that point in my life. But I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I do, and that's why I make it a point to get out and move, you know, get over to Pearl, or get out to Madison. Whatever, because it does bring me back to sanity.
Yeah,
you know, because this is all you see. You're gonna get. You're gonna.
That's
be
right. And I felt like, that's what I felt like. I felt like God stirred that in my spirit back whenever I first started doing this type of work.
Yeah.
Because like I said, before Trump became president, I was far right. You know what I mean? And I was like, so I wasn't racist. I ain't never been a racist.
Far right don't mean racist. That's some myth that's been picked up somewhere along the lines.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Being far right just means far right of the government.
Far right of the government, right?
Yeah.
But I was there, man. But then I just felt like, man, well, because I feel the way that I do. I feel the way that I do because of everything that I see and watch. Right? It's all just absorbed into my mind, and it's making me. So that's no different from people on the other side of the aisle. Everything they see and they watch, everything that they're absorbing, their perspective and my perspective. So that's whenever God told me, you know, politics is not where you need to be investing your time and your mind and your thoughts, your energy. You need to be. So that's when I reached out to people, and I sought another perspective. I wanted to, you know what I mean? So now I find myself, I'm in Jackson. I'm co-director of a program in Jackson that is predominantly black, right? And everybody that I work with is predominantly black.
Yeah, if you do something in Jackson, then there's 90% chance of, by the numbers, that it's going to be a predominantly black thing. It just is what it is.
It's just where God has brought me, man, and I really feel like He brought me there so that I could gain that other perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I could gain that, that I could understand other thoughts than just my own. And I do now. Mm-hmm. I understand. That doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that way. You know what I mean? But I can understand it to where I'm not so hard lining my way and pointing fingers, because that's just counterproductive.
Sure. You know, I'm with you on a lot of it, but then I get aggravated. You know, and like I said, God's using me for different stuff right now.
Well, it is. We all got our own mission.
Mine is, it comes and goes.
Right.
I think it's to be as loud and obnoxious as I can be about this nonsense going on around here, and bring as much dirt to the light as possible. But I also want to use the platform to do stuff like this and show people that there's people doing good things in the city.
Right, and it's nonpartisan. Because like, you got to understand, like I've said it repeatedly, a bunch of people that I work with, they campaign for Mike Espy, and they really believe in the politics of things, and I'm more conservative, I'm more center right, and I'm co-director of the program. They have not shunned me because of my beliefs.
Well, your resume, I feel like, speaks for itself. I mean, you're putting in the work, man. I always tell people, like, don't judge me on my politics. Judge me on my resume. Or if you ask me to do something, I get people to ask me to do so. I can't do everything. Somebody asked me the other day to come help clean up a property in the Queens. I'm like, man, I'd rather clean up my own neighborhood.
Right.
Nothing personal. Just that. It doesn't mean I don't want to see your property get cleaned up. It just means I'm not coming to clean up your property.
Right.
But I mean,
that's my mission. We're
Yeah.
doing all that too.
Yeah. And maybe get you in touch with the guy.
Everybody has different missions. Is my point at that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm way more of a facilitator.
Right.
That's kind of my thing, and I'll get out and do stuff. But when you have this much free time a week. And this is what I'm doing in my free time. This is my free time.
Right, exactly. See, so that's the difference. See, I have been blessed enough to have made this my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So right. So I don't right. So when we on here talking about all the things I'm doing and all that. Right. So it's not like I'm. Don't get me wrong. I started out volunteering.
Yeah.
Everything started out volunteering, but it just kind of coalesced and evolved into a job now. So I'm out there every day, but I don't have to worry about getting a paycheck in order to go out.
Well, like I said, I wrote volunteer number 13 on my pillars of how to save Jackson.
Right.
And then once you start volunteering, you say yes to enough opportunities, you end up turning it into
a job.
It's like me going out and doing every Tuesday with Ken Wade now and doing these shows. It'll eventually turn into.
And it's really such a blessing, man. I found myself the other morning, about 5:30 in the morning. I woke up and I'm creating my first real lesson plan. We have curriculum that we're going to be teaching and guiding these young people with, and I was designing my first lesson plan.
Headmaster Ivey.
Right, and it just made me realize we didn't just create a job. We're creating a program that is going to be around. Man, this program ain't going nowhere. Once we get it implemented, man, it's big. It's going to be huge.
And then, that was one of the reasons. Well, I just like having you on. This platform is as much yours as it is mine, as far as I'm concerned. You've been a huge blessing to us. But I know that a lot of people get bogged down in the violence interrupter part of what Strong Arms Jackson is, and they're like, well, that's a crapshoot,
And also,
but there's so much more to do, and that's what I wanted.
I want to also be clear, that hasn't even been implemented yet.
Yeah.
Right? The violence interruption actual piece of the program has not been implemented yet.
Yeah.
We have credible messengers on payroll right now. I'm a credible messenger. I'm not necessarily a violence interrupter. I am a violence interrupter. So this is what a violence interrupter is. A violence interrupter is a violence interrupter for his or her particular community.
Yeah, but it takes community participation.
Yes.
For that program to work.
That's right.
So when I say it's a crapshoot, that's what I mean. It's like it requires commitment from that community for that to work.
Right.
So that aside, which I if it works, it's great. If you get participation, absolutely. But I just see other stuff you guys are doing that really, really talks to me, because I'm just like, man, that's that stuff that is in your control.
Right.
You get plugged in with the right court systems and church programs and youth programs and whatever it is. That's stuff that absolutely can work. And it's not just like, well, we stopped these two guys that were beefing from shooting each other. That's great. I don't want to undermine that, because that's obviously, you save a life. That's way bigger than anything else you can do. But that's like waiting on a building to catch on fire.
Right.
As a fireman.
Right.
You know it's going to happen, but you don't know when. This other stuff is stuff you wake up, like you said, you were implementing a work plan.
Right.
So
that
stuff.
This is prevention.
Yeah.
So violence interruption is prevention too. It's preventing somebody from getting killed.
Yeah. But it has to
these
escalate
people
to
are
get to
all
that point.
right. So the people that we're interrupting are already living that life.
Yeah.
Right. The other stuff we're doing is prevention, so these young people won't grow up to live that life.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's the difference between those two
that's
aspects.
that's the part that I'm really catching myself drawn towards. Well, we're just about done. We'll leave in a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal been in there cooking homemade soup.
That's right.
When the cook wants you to eat, you eat.
Yeah, we've been able to eat.
So 30, 45 minutes later, landing this plane again. We get to talking, man. Plane went back on Friday. Plane took back off.
Took back off quickly.
So we'll get back together after the holidays.
Yep.
And we'll come out to your house and do this too.
Yep.
We have iPad will travel.
Good deal.
And we'll pick back up. But I want to hear y'all are starting this in early December.
Yep.
And I want to catch everybody back up. Maybe if we're not too busy, maybe Christmas week, or maybe the week after, between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
And get people back up to speed. Let them know where we're at, what's going on with the program. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the participants you have. Without giving their identities away. I think it's important to probably protect people's personal information. But kind of tell us where they're at and what you see in people, and once you've had time to wrap your head around it a little bit, and because once like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
All this is a great plan now. I want to talk to you after you've been punched in the mouth a little.
Right. When I learned how to bob and weave a little bit.
And kind of say, all right, man, this looked good on paper, but we've had to.
We had to
take
change
the
this up a
eraser
little bit.
This is in pencil, not ink.
Right.
I want come back and see where you're at and kind of what you've learned right before the program launches. So when are you expecting for these folks to hit the job?
So I'm thinking sometime in January, Clay.
Yeah.
That's the only answer I can give you right now.
That's good.
You know what I mean? We plan to have
4 to 6 weeks of getting ramped up and
4 to 6 weeks. We're going to do some orientation, and even the people. So everybody that comes to orientation is getting paid, right? Even the people that don't get picked, everybody gets paid.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna. How many people are you going to pick for orientation?
10.
10, and then you're going to narrow it down.
Narrow it down to 5.
Gotcha.
Right? So, but all 10 people get stipends. They all get paid. And but after orientation, that's when we pick our 5, and that'll be at the end of December. So we're going to be cranking up in January.
I see those other 5, man. If they follow through their orientation, I see something good happening for those folks too.
Well, so I'm not going to give a name right now, but somebody has actually. So speaking of funding, earlier you said government or whatever. So all our funding is grant and fundraise. We don't have any government funding yet.
That's okay.
Okay. But we have somebody that has stepped up and said that we think they might be wanting to fund the other 5 participants.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we're going to have 10 participants. We just didn't have the money to fund but 5 right now from our original grantees.
Yeah.
They gave us enough. They started out wanting 10 participants, but then the pandemic hit and slowed a bunch of stuff down, so they come back to us and told us to just work with 5 to begin with. But we're going to pick 10 to pick from, so this other entity has stepped forward, and they might actually fund these other 5 participants. I'll know more about that closer to the end of December.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, brother,
Yep.
how can they find you online?
Man, you can. The easiest way to find me online is my Facebook page. It's open to the public. Benny Ivey, Benny Ivey.
I tagged him in this post. You just
Right.
hit him at the top if you ain't already following.
Mm-hmm. I got a web page, BennyIvey.com, if you want to see videos, testimony, articles, stuff like that. But other than that, man, yeah.
Cool. All right, brother. We're gonna wrap this up, man. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it, man.
We're gonna eat some of this soup.
That's right.
And
next time we'll be on location on Ivy Hill.
Ivy Hill, man. I'm
right.
excited. I'm out in the county.
That's right.
It's the only part about using the iPad is you actually got to get up and
Yeah.